Welcome back to another episode of the Stupidest Podcast with your hosts Justin Rademacher and the other guy. Oh man, you should see him now. He's looking real good, ladies. He's got it all going on. He's got a lot of work going on, so he doesn't have a whole lot of time for dates, but I mean, I'd want to go on a date with him if I could. Um, who's that guy? I don't remember his name.
It's Justin Vandeventer. What's going on, guys?
Justin Vandeventer. How's it going, man?
Dude, I don't even. Not only do I not have time for dates, but today at work, I slipped and fell,
Ooh,
and landed and like jammed my hand, and like I
that's
can't.
not.
It hurts to even like close my hand right now. And I go, I told I told Andy tonight at bowling. I go, God, it's sad when I can't even freaking say. I can't even get my hand to say yes to a date.
I wasn't even going there. I was thinking you're bowling right away. That's funny. Or how are you gonna like grasp her cheek to go in for the kiss?
Yeah, right. Dude, it hurts so bad.
That sucks. I'm sorry, man.
Dude, I like can't. And it's on my bowling hand. So tonight when I was bowling, it felt good for like the first game and a half, but then it started to just really start to just agony pain. Like right now I can't even make a fist.
Oh, that sucks.
I
I
j-
mean, good thing you don't need to make a fist in bowling.
I couldn't hold on to the ball the last game though.
Yeah, yeah, that's rough. Especially like injuring your bowling hand is the worst. Like I don't even like when I'm bowling, I never even want to eat with my bowling hand because you don't want to have anything wrong with it. Like you don't want to have grease on it or anything.
Hmm.
Like yet alone like bruising and swelling, like that's not good.
And so like when I landed on the ice or whatever, and I tried to catch myself,
Yep.
it jammed my wrist.
Ooh.
So my wrist is like sore, but the fingers
Yeah.
that I jammed are the two that go in the ball.
Oh, of course. Couldn't have been the outside ones.
Oh, dude, it kills.
Mm,
It feels like somebody, the knuckles, the middle knuckles, it feels like somebody just took a hammer to them and went wham, wham.
mm. Yeah, no thanks. Especially and then going to bowl right after that.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
yeah. So I'm very interested to see what it feels like tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, good luck with that, man.
yeah,
Holy
right.
cow.
So we got an interesting episode coming at these
Yeah,
guys.
no, this is a very good episode. This is another guest episode. So our guest is Chad Gallo. He's another comedian up in the Duluth area, and yeah, we get to learn a lot about him actually, and it's a lot of fun. You see actually how we actually have guests that go against the name. He's a very smart person, so it's weird having him on the stupidest podcast.
Yeah, but
Like,
we were bringing him down to our level.
yeah, it was fun bringing
We're
him down to our level. You
we're
can see
dragging.
it a couple times throughout the episode. He even like admits it. It's kind of funny,
Yeah, we're getting him down here.
but it was fun though. And then like he brought us up too sometimes.
Yeah.
Obviously not for very long,
Yeah.
but and not like permanently.
If you
But
listen, I use some pretty big words in this one. At least some four syllable
yeah,
words.
I didn't even think that there was such thing as four syllables.
Yeah.
I thought that you had to use multiple words to get to four syllables.
I know you didn't see it, but I was patting myself on the back quite a bit during this episode. I was like, "Hey, I didn't know what that word means that you're talking about."
Oh man, I just went along with it. I was like, "Hey, I know that that's a word. I don't know what it means, but it's a word. I know that."
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a great episode though, man.
Yeah, no, it's a ton of fun too. Just getting to learn a little bit about like other comedians is just so much fun.
Oh yeah.
Whether you know them or you don't know them, there's going to be a lot of people that listen that know him and a lot of people that don't. And it's still interesting getting to see another comedian's perspective on the art form.
I'm really liking these because I know you kind of have somewhat of a relationship with these people, and
Yep.
I haven't a few of these that I've never even met.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you met him through Zoom and through talking with him, and that was it.
That was it.
And I've known him for a while now, so it's interesting also having that different dynamic with both of us, having those different relationships with these people, um, and getting to know them through the podcast is fun too, or at least me seeing you getting to know them is really fun for me.
Yeah, it's been a blast. I'm enjoying it, but you know me, I could talk comedy with anybody for hours.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, and you can obviously tell because that's what we've been doing. So,
Exactly. So, um, anything else you want to say about the podcast, the episode?
I mean, the episode is a ton of fun. You're gonna learn a lot, and you also get to know a little bit more about comedy. So I think it's an all around great episode, and yeah, I think we should just get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. So, without further ado,
Awesome,
here's your episode.
perfect, enjoy.
All right, Chad, let's get into this then. I'll start off with the first question. What inspired you to get into stand-up comedy?
Oh God, that's a loaded question. I've always loved comedy ever since like I was a kid. But I went to my first open mic because I lost a bet.
Oh, nice.
And I don't even, yeah, I used to have a bit for this and it's lost because I don't even remember what the bit was, but it was with a buddy at work. He's like, look, you've been talking about doing this for years. So if you lose, you have to go do this. So, and of course I lost like the weekend before my birthday. So the very first open mic I did was on my birthday and I had gone in and I had written like 5 minutes of material I was super stoked to do. And I got there and they'll be like, well, you get 3 minutes. It's your first time. I'm like, okay, fine. And then I used none of the stuff I wrote. I just ad libbed for 3 minutes, and it killed. And there is no, at least, like I require cuss validation for other people. I'm a performer. We all do, right?
Yeah.
So you hear those laughs from people, and it's like a drug. So then the next week I went back and I did the 5 minutes I'd written the first time, and it bombed. I just hated it, right? So then I didn't go back for like a month, and I sat to myself like, look, if you don't go back, you're never going to do it. So I got up and I went back and I killed again. And I mean, it's had ups and downs, but it's been history since then. I just loved it. But yeah, I lost a bet. That's how it happened.
That's
Nice.
crazy. So why did you not do the material you got set up? Because you
because I didn't have it timed. Because I had it timed out for 5, and like, well, you got to cut it down 3. I'm like, well, one of these jokes is like 4 minutes long, so it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So then and that was part of it, and the rest of it was, I think, just like nerves, because I had never, like, I had given speeches and talks, like, I was in grad school for a while, so I did like presentations at conferences and things like that. So I've done a lot of public speaking, but I'd never done comedy before. So like, just the nerves of doing something that I'd been excited to do for the longest time finally just kicked in, and everything that was in my brain just left. So
Grad school, huh?
yeah, I've got a master's degree in
So you're a smart comedian.
Well, I tell people that. my master's degree is in philosophy, so it's not. Yeah. That O is the wrong sentence every time. Yeah. But no, yeah, it's a master's in philosophy, specializing in applied ethics and value theory. Is what I went to school for.
That sounds really smart.
Yeah, because I spent a long time rehearsing this speech.
And yet you're on the stupidest podcast. So
I was concerned a little bit about the brand when I heard that you guys were going to be on the stupidest podcast.
Yeah, but philosophy fits right in.
Oh, that's an accurate low blow.
That was pretty good, man. I'll give you that one. That's crazy though. So the first time you ever did stand up was on your birthday.
Yeah, it was on my birthday. Here at one of the local places in town.
Yeah.
And of course, I had a few friends come out with me that time, who they do what every comedian's friends do, right? They tell you they loved it, it was hilarious. Have never been to a single show in the like 6 years since.
Okay.
So it's like, well, you went once, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming the very first time and then not seeing my progression.
I actually, no, I do have to take that back, because the very first gig I headlined, my buddy Zach, who was at that show, came to see me headline. So I'm not going to shit on him, but the other people I will take up on.
That's funny. What style of comedy do you perform on stage? Do you like the style you have? If not, what style would you want to do?
Well, I mean, the second part of that question's got to be loaded, because if I was doing something I didn't like to do, that's me being an idiot, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm obviously doing whatever I want to do.
Hey,
Yeah.
we never said we had smart guests on here, all right?
It's in the name. I'm starting to pick up on that quickly.
One of our first guests, for comedy wise, was Frankie Runquist.
Oh yeah, you have to say you're not supposed to badmouth people, so I won't say anything. That's the right response.
I had to roast her though. I had to.
Frankie's she's absolutely hilarious, but she is a very roastable person, and she does bring it on herself.
Yeah.
She's an absolute delight. Oh god. I mean, the problem about describing my style of comedy is it's the style of like conversations I normally have with people. I am a moderately deadpan smartass who tends to yell about things that irritate me. And then comedy was like, well, what if I could do that but just complain about McDonald's for 4 minutes? And so I've got a mostly deadpan delivery that like kicks up into like higher end. I tried doing characters. It doesn't work for me because I've got a very monotone voice, and sort of trying to get inflections out of this. Like I had written a bit once that I don't do anymore, where I started my entire bit speaking in French.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know French.
Oh,
so
dang.
I run the joke through Google Translate. Google Translate does not like translating the word fuck into foreign language. It's a really hard time for that. But so I would just get up on stage and go, "Avec vous jamais, huh?" And then people stare at you because they don't realize you're just asking them if they're having a good day in French.
Yeah. So when you tried doing the Google Translate, did it do like the whole text thing and it was trying to translate duck?
Kind of. It's been so long I don't remember exactly what it said, because I got to the second line and realized it wasn't getting fucked right.
Oh, okay. How could you tell if you didn't know the language?
Context clues.
Okay.
Like you looked at a word and then because what I would do is I would put it through to French and then back to English.
Oh.
Because the last thing I want to do, like if I'm going to say something, it's going to be fucking right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roddy, he's smart, all right? Leave him alone.
That's
I got a brand to build, right? Like I don't want to go up there and say stuff that's false. Like I literally hosted a couple shows up here that were pretentious trivia shows based on the premise of I know stuff that the comedians don't, so let's embarrass them publicly for not knowing things.
Yeah,
So
be
now
real
I'm
easy
like,
with me.
now everything I say has to be true, right?
Yeah.
So I spend like when I'm writing a joke now, I spend 10% of the joke writing the joke and 90% of the joke researching the things that are in the joke to make sure I'm not saying anything that's false.
I lie all the time.
Yeah.
I should do that because it would save me so much time.
Yeah.
Like the hours on like Google Scholar and Wikipedia and like, digging through journal articles and research papers and things. Like I should just make up how much an airplane costs. You don't need to read it. The audience isn't going to go look that. I shouldn't say that. One person in the audience is going to look that up, and they're going to corner you after the show and they go, "You know that's not what a Cessna C-75 costs anymore." Like I know, I wrote that joke 4 years ago. I haven't looked at the new numbers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what it cost 4 years ago.
That's what it cost when I wrote it. I'm not changing anything. I'll put a timestamp on the joke if we have to compromise.
That's awesome. You put a little parentheses, or not parentheses, asterisk by each of your jokes.
I have because I've seen a few comedians do something like where they have like a PowerPoint presentation that goes on in the background that like complements their set.
Yeah.
And part of my brain's going like, just start putting citations in for all your jokes.
That would be fun.
I get that one college kid who's like, he's not quite drunk enough to get the comedy, but he just remembers everything off his physics exam. He goes, that's not how grapefruits fly, that trajectory, right?
And you like, look at where I got this from.
Yeah.
I can see on your poster, ACT hasn't been updated for the last 4 years.
I should start putting qualifiers on.
Yeah.
The only thing that's worse than like, because those trivia shows they weren't super successful, but they were one of my favorite things to do. But what I would hate doing is that I would spend probably a month and a half writing the questions for every show, and then I would do the show, and then find out that the questions had been asked somewhere else. Like there's a British show called QI, which I think is a show that everybody on the planet should watch because it's what if we made comedians feel stupid for not knowing really controversial things. And so the very first trivia show I did was about a bunch of animals, and the one question I asked people was, how many tentacles does an octopus have?
Yeah. They have 10 tickles.
No.
Sorry.
No. You're thinking squids. Squids have 10 tentacles.
No, it's 8.
No, they have none.
What?
Because they're technically arms and not tentacles. because the way, if they've got suckers going from the base of the body all the way out, they're technically arms. But like squids have them only at the tips. Those are tentacles.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's super bizarre. And of course, like that's what makes those shows interesting is nobody knows this stuff. So you get comedians say the wrong answer, you go, haha, you idiot, and then you go, this is the truth. And then it's really cool. Literally this morning before we recorded this, I was watching an episode of QI, and the host, Sandy Toxvig, gets to the end of the show, and she's like, so how many tentacles does an octopus have? I'm like, don't do this to me, Sandy. So, and of course, it was literally the question I had done for a show like 4 months ago that I didn't know somebody had already done. And so you get that, like, yeah, it's parallel thinking. I'm like, well, that's out the window now.
Yeah. That's crazy. So what if I just happened to like, I don't know how it would happen, but like if I just got suckers like at the, like by my hands, would I technically have 2 tentacles?
Ooh.
And if it was just at the tip, you know what I'm saying?
God, I'm not a marine biologist. This is immediately upsetting me.
I'm sorry I had to upset you during the podcast.
No, because that's a really good question, and I honestly don't know the answer.
What about when you go into water and your hands get pruny? Are they now tentacles?
No, because that's not a sucker.
Yeah, it's got
that
particular type of membrane.
It gets pruny so you can actually grip better underwater. That's why they become pruny. Your body's
well,
adapting.
gripping isn't sucking.
Well,
like that's not a sucker.
Well, and it's also not a permanent biological feature of your skin.
Yeah.
It's a condition that it adapts to.
Yeah.
Maybe if we stay in there long enough, it will become a sucker. All right. We don't know.
We'll say that.
Man, we can't do a full breakdown of evolution.
We're only on question 2.
Well, I guarantee you, most of your audience has a better understanding of evolution from Pokemon than they do from biology. So this is already a non-start there.
I thought that was how I.
No,
this is already more smart conversation than we've ever had on the podcast in the whole time that we've been running the podcast.
I love that I'm skewing the numbers. I've broken the concept. Yeah. My work is done.
Like, I thought eventually, like, Vandy would evolve into somebody better, like me. Something like that. You know, like, he'd eventually evolve into me.
The important thing is that you think a lot of yourself. And that's really, as long as you think that.
No, I wasn't saying that for me. I was just saying that.
He's just trying to evolve into a host on this show. He's getting there.
No, yeah. I am a host. We're both hosts. That's our thing. He keeps saying that he's the only host, and I say I'm the only host, and then we're both hosts. We're not co-hosts. We're hosts.
I see I've landed on a nerve already.
I know.
How does that make you feel being a host?
It makes me want to evolve to grow 2 tentacles on my hand and sucker him in the face.
I guess the other question, because again, this is like, would you grow them on just your fingers, or would your hand become one whole?
Oh no, I would want fingers. So I wouldn't want my hand to.
So would that be 10 then, or would that still be 2 with like just multiple tips on the end?
So would I have 10 tentacles because of my fingers?
I'm not an expert on deep sea isopods. I don't know.
I like that. And then I could use my suckers. I could put instead of throwing a disc golf disc regularly, I could put it on the top and I could just throw it whew.
That would be worse though from an aerodynamics perspective.
That's true.
Maybe.
I probably wouldn't be good at disc golf with the suckers.
No, because it would stick to the disc.
Damn.
Yeah, but if you could find a way to release the suction, you could get some major spin on the disc.
Can you imagine the snap sound? It'd be but it would be 10 times. So it'd be.
I'm just imagining a squid on a disc golf course, just flopping around and.
How did we get to this?
That's what you need for the team. You need a squid.
Yeah.
Just haul around in the tanks and get it done.
It's got to throw mostly like that.
I could see the movie already. I could see the poster. It's not great.
I'm trying to think of the name of the movie now. Squid. No, I don't know.
Oh, call it Squid Games.
Squid Games.
Do that on purpose. But do no promotion.
Yeah.
It's just Squid Games the movie. And then when people get there, it's just a fucking squid throwing frisbees.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
Yeah. And it's funny because it's games, but you only play the one game.
Yeah.
Don't play any other games. It's just disc.
Not even multiple games of disc golf.
Yeah.
Literally, it's a 20-minute movie.
One round of disc golf.
And it's still going to get like a 65 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Like, we thought that would have been worse, but that's a really impressive squid.
Yeah.
We're happy with that number. We're very happy with that number.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he got a birdie. Like,
We thought this was just going to be a comedy, but we found real talent out there. Yeah.
he's actually doing tournaments now.
Yeah, Lawrence the Squid, he's killing it.
Yeah, he's MA2 right now.
Oh my god.
This is exactly the level of nerd that I am. Ranting about deep sea isopods for 10 minutes, and you said one thing about disc golf, and it's not, that's how sports work.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the sports ball.
Sports disc.
I love like sports ball when you get like the sports ball and the sports hoop and get the sports points.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part of sports ball.
Yeah, they are so sporty. Sporting it all the time.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Who are some of your biggest influences in comedy? And who is your favorite comedian right now?
Oh, right now is a hard question. Because, I've fallen a lot into British panel shows more than anything else.
Nice.
Like, if I was going to pick a stand-up comedian right now, it would probably be either Jimmy Carr or Joe Lycett out of Britain. They're both absolutely fantastic.
Jimmy Carr has such a weird laugh.
He laughs like a seal being beat to death in a back alley.
Dude, he makes me think he's a robot or something like that.
But it's so genuine that it's a beautiful thing to see him laugh.
It's creepy.
It's creepy, but it's authentically creepy.
Yeah.
Like, that's so creepy that you couldn't fake that laugh.
Yeah.
That is real. But no, like influence-wise, like I was really big on Lewis Black when I was younger. Like Lewis Black's White Album, I could recite entirely from memory, like when I was like 10 or 11.
Nice.
It is now mostly gone because I've tried to write my own jokes. So I have to kick that stuff out of my brain before I start doing the White Album on stage and make the shit suit out of me.
So have you accidentally ever started getting into it?
I have. That's happened once or twice. Like I've started a joke and the brain goes, you can't finish that joke. Fair use is not going to let you get away with that. Oh, it's almost like the time, because I had to ask Roddy before we started recording, like, how much am I allowed to swear on this?
As much as you want, man.
As much as I want, but stay the fuck away from Disney songs, because that's fair use bullshit. We don't want any of that. And it took me back to, like, the first couple years I was doing comedy, I was doing a charity show here. And the guy who hosted the venue had booked a morning news spot for me to talk about the charity show. So I had to go live on the morning news. And it was really cool, but there's like these two competing voices in your head. One's like, you got to talk about the show, promote the show, because it was like for like an anti-bullying foundation.
Don't swear, and don't swear, and don't swear, and don't swear, and don't swear.
Well, no, because the other voice in my brain was like, you could probably say fuck on TV and no one can stop you before they get to that. So of course you've got this like lovely news anchor on stage asking you like, so what got you into comedy? What are you doing the show for? And the entire time she's asking you these really like innocent, authentic questions, your brain's going, just say fuck, you can do it, no one can stop you.
One time.
So it's just this weird back and forth in your head. It's why I struggle to do clean shows.
Yeah, same.
Because I'm a very vulgar person. I don't back away from it, which is fine until you're in forward facing, or like there was a clean open mic that somebody was trying to run around here and they're like, you can't even talk about alcohol. I'm like, well, that's like 80% of my personality. So what am I going to talk about?
Yeah, that's tough. When you're being limited like that, it's tough to do anything in comedy. Like, obviously you can do it, like people do it, but like, I don't know. It's tough having all those filters.
It's a skill that I wish I had because it opens up so many more venues for you.
Mm-hmm.
And the older I get, like a lot of people really love clean comedy. Those people are never like because you're practicing at open mics all the time. Those people are never there. The audience there is drunk college kids, and so you get used to saying things that drunk college kids laugh at, which is saying the word fuck and joking about masturbating.
Yeah,
that's what they laugh at.
Yeah.
So then you go to do an actual show and you're doing that material that you've been doing for so long that you're used to people laughing at, and then they don't because they want you to talk about what you had for dinner the other night.
Yeah.
And it's a balancing act you have to land on. And I've gotten better at it as I've gotten older because, I got older, I got more boring, so I stopped doing exciting things. But it's still something I struggle with because fuck is a great word, and I'm not going to stop using it.
Yeah.
Like, if you want, I would rather filter the content than the language I use for the content, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, you can't say anything about alcohol. You would rather have that be the filter rather than say you can't say fuck.
Right. People get offended by words, and that bothers me because words are the delivery mechanism. Now, if I walked up and called your 3-year-old a cocksucker, yeah, you should sanction me for using that word.
Yeah.
Because that's inappropriate in that context. But like, if you're at a 21 plus comedy show and somebody says the word fuck like that,
yeah, you shouldn't be.
You, as the audience, should have been braced for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you're at any comedy show, you should be able to say the word fuck. You're at a comedy show. You're obviously an adult. Your mind's developed enough that you should understand that word's out there.
Right.
Yeah, you guys, you should be able to say frick. And, or we.
I like that you did that after you've already said
I know.
6 times. Like, now you're trying to backpedal to the moral high ground.
I don't know. I get clean comedy and people want clean comedy, but the only reason I don't do it is I think I could do it, but I don't want to sit there and think about if I'm being clean or not. Comedy should be comedy. You should be who you are.
Well, and I think the audience can kind of tell, like, if it's not in your comfort zone as a performer.
Yep.
Like, they can tell you're in your head when you're telling the joke. You're not in the moment. You're not.
Your flow is
like,
way off.
Oh, yeah. And the audience can tell. Whereas, like, if you're just being you in the moment, that's where, like, some of the best crowd work I've ever done has come from. Like, I'm just being me, and it works out.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're in your head, it feels like you're reading off a script you see in your head as opposed to doing an act.
Yeah, and you're not present. You're
right.
Yeah, you're doing your act.
And they can tell. 100% the audience can tell.
Hey, you're thinking about some things that you shouldn't be thinking about when you're doing a comedy set.
Right.
And I get that way a lot because I have my notes up there. I'm trying to get away from my notes if possible, but I just want to get all the material out there. So then once I get all the stuff that I don't know, then I can get to the stuff that works and that I like.
I do love that you're trying to break a habit of not using notes, and I'm making you do a show where you have to look at a bunch of notes.
I know. That's funny. That's like the whole show is.
Oh, the whole show.
Yeah. That's funny.
Because I can't stop doing game shows because I have an addiction. Like, yeah, I could do normal stand-up shows, but I've been doing it for 6 years, and like, as much as I love doing stand-up, it gets stale. Like, sometimes, like, I have to do something different or I'm going to go mad.
Yeah. So game shows are fun.
They are fun, especially if it's like the type of show that you can get like, again, like, I'll talk about these trivia shows to death because I love them.
Mm-hmm.
When you get the audience involved in the show, like you tell the audience, like, you can win the game if you try hard enough.
Yeah.
And the audience gets super into it. Our show, I don't think it's going to have that. That one-liner show is not going to have that format because if somebody in the crowd starts to be funnier than us, I'm probably just going to kick them out.
Yeah.
It's my dojo. You stay out of it.
Yeah, that's funny. That'd be funny. The audience member wins. Then they have to do.
Then they have to do a set at the end. Yeah. It would only be demoralizing if they were great. And like, oh man, this guy that we didn't even pay to do this did a better show than us. How much do we pay him?
I don't think any of it.
No, nothing. Yeah,
they showed up. It's on them.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Now watch.
They can buy him one drink. Right?
Now watch.
Don't be a dick about it.
Yeah. Now watch. We're gonna have like Brian Regan is just gonna show up randomly, and he's gonna just be the funniest guy.
Keep dreaming,
ever.
buddy.
I was just trying to.
Brian Regan just like in Duluth in January. That's so
well,
cool.
it happens. You know, I'm just hoping.
What happened? Well, Rowdy kidnapped Brian Regan.
And he brought him to
the show.
Yeah,
But Brian was a great sport.
Why? I was wondering why he was in handcuffs.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Apparently it's not just a sex thing.
I thought Roddy and him had a thing going. You never know, you know.
Which, I mean, good for you. That is.
If I could land Brian Regan.
I mean, I'd be thrilled.
Oh,
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'd
probably bode well for my comedy career.
I think he's just independently charming. Like,
yeah,
I'd have a good time with him.
Yeah.
Roddy would need a change of clothes.
I'll just be like, I'm just going to follow you. I'm going to be your pet.
That's a turn.
I know.
That I wasn't braced for.
I wasn't either.
I learned a lot about Roddy
today. I offended myself.
that is the best joke. Where, like, you say it, then you're offended, and like, I have to keep telling you.
Yeah, and you're stuck.
Yeah, well, because it creates that moment of vulnerability where everybody's uncomfortable, and for a moment you look at the audience and went, okay, that happened.
Yeah.
We're going to digest it, and we're going to move on.
We're just going to enjoy what just happened.
I don't know that they enjoyed it. I think it's more like we're going to collectively process this, and it's going to bring us together as a group.
Oh.
And we're never going to speak of it ever again.
I like doing that stuff every now and then, like, because I just enjoy awkwardness sometimes. Like, not all the time, but it is kind of fun to, like, just sit in that awkwardness for a little bit.
I can't stand it.
You don't like it?
No, like, literally, like, I feel like I'm getting too meta talking about doing the recording. But, like, we did the 30 seconds, just to create empty space. And the whole time I'm sitting and go, like, I have never been silent for this long in my entire life. And as a comedian, I think I can comfortably say that every comedian on the planet is a towering narcissist. Like, we have to be talking about ourselves constantly all the time. It's what we do. So to be obligated to sit there and do nothing for 30 seconds is, like...
It's tough.
Yeah,
we have to do it every episode. We sit there for 30 seconds right before, because you got to capture everything so that way you can do it in the editing and take all that stuff that you capture. That's why I said do the stuff you might want to do.
Because it gives you a line for the background noise to filter out,
exactly.
And then it gives you a buffer for the editing so you can cut it.
And,
I understand, like, practically why they do it. That does not make it not torture.
Yeah.
Stuff.
They're going to tell me we're going to do it at the end, too, so be ready for another 30 seconds where you have to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, we're going to do it, but there's not a logical reason to do it.
Now it's just we're going to make Chad uncomfortable again.
Yeah.
And I endorse that meta joke 100%. Now I'll be upset if we don't do it, which is a very conflicting set of opinions to have. Like, if you don't do this thing, I know it's going to make me angry. I'm going to be angry that you didn't do it.
Yeah. Should we do it live, like, on air? Do the 30 seconds?
It'd make for a good podcast.
Just to drag everybody else down with us, like.
Yeah, if you guys want to join, it might be at the end. I might surprise everybody with 30 seconds of silence.
Dude.
And then you just get to enjoy the sound of nature or the sound of your bathroom.
I'll go find a saxophone. I will. I don't know. Find one somewhere.
You're gonna run to the music store quick and go get one.
I've never run anywhere in my life. That is, I will not stand for that kind of slander. Do not insinuate that I've performed physical activity.
I'm sorry, I even mentioned physical activity.
Yeah, no, talking about running is tiring me out. Like,
that's funny. All right, so you kind of answered this one before, but I do want to get a little deeper into it.
all right.
When was the first time you ever went on stage? What was it like, and where did you start? Because I know you said you started on your birthday, but you didn't say, was it here in Duluth?
It was here in Duluth.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was here in Duluth about 6 years ago. Can we say the places? I don't know if we can talk about the places.
Yeah. No, we talked about it because, like, if we have shows and stuff there, we say it. We use this as like a marketing. So at the end, we're actually going to ask if you have any shows coming up and stuff like that. So, I know this one is actually going to be like people are going to be listening to this after our show that we're putting together. So we can talk about the show, but it's not really going to.
We should talk about it as if it already happened.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, I always talk about it.
Absolute shit bad.
I know it was. It was so bad. I can't.
No, it's gonna be. I'm actually really excited for that show.
I am too.
It's gonna be. My favorite thing about that show is that I have had to write absolutely zero things for it.
Yeah.
No, I take that back. I've been writing like little roast jokes for the comedians beforehand.
Oh, nice.
I shouldn't do nothing. I should not make you do all the work. I should make you do like 97% of it.
I'll take it.
And then just do the promoting, because that's way less work for me.
Yeah.
And I would not mind riding your coattails into like oblivion.
Yeah, and
fantastic.
And you also said that you had some punchlines too for some of them.
I did, and I really wish I'd written them down.
Oh,
I should go back and see if I remember them.
Roddy is a phenomenal promoter.
So
I should make him do that too, and then I should just host the show. Is what I'm hearing.
I'm a social media guru. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I don't do social media very well.
No,
I'm not a very good promoter.
Well, that's why Andy's the host, and you're the.
No, I'm the host.
See, he's getting it. I knew we had him on here for a reason.
No, he's the co-host. I'm the host.
Fuck, I totally forgot what you had. Oh, right, my first time on stage. So with the Dublin's here in town. I love the room at Dublin.
I love Dublin's.
That's the nicest thing I can say about them. Because it's true. It's a fantastic room.
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of surreal, I think is the best way, because to describe the first time where something you wanted to do but were terrified to be bad at, and like it was the first time you were actually good at something. Like, wow, I like this and I'm good at it. That's never happened before.
Yeah.
Which in your mid-20s is an epiphany to have. It's like, I can do a thing.
Yeah.
And the people are laughing on purpose instead of on accident.
You can control the laugh at that point.
Well, as much as you can control an audience.
Yeah.
Because hecklers.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
What's a heckler? I was waiting for him to say anything.
That's fucking good. I would literally walk right into that.
I thought it'd be funny.
Oh, it was, yeah. Points to you. Are we keeping score? I don't know how.
Yeah, I'm at 8,000 points right now. Can't even say the word. Cumulatively. Cumulatively.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Yeah. That's the whole thing I said.
So
I just lost points.
So when did you start? What?
Well, based on like his ability, I'm gonna say probably 2 weeks ago. Oh, sorry, I had to roast him.
I wish I was that talented. No, it's either been 5 or 6 years, and I suspect that I have the problem that everybody who was a starting comedian like the 2 or 3 years before COVID had, where you went from like we had one open mic in town. We started 2 more, so we had 3 a week up here, like collectively between all the comedians here. You were just starting to feature in some shows. You were just starting to take off, and then everybody closed everything.
Mm-hmm.
So now, like, all this local work you were getting is gone. But you don't have a rapport to, like, you haven't established yourself online yet. You haven't really got anything trending in that direction, so you don't have that open to you. But you also aren't big enough to command, like, live online shows either. So basically, you do that, and then COVID resolved itself as it did, and you basically felt like you were starting over. Because not only were you not performing, you probably weren't writing anything because you were, dealing with the modern nightmarish dystopia that is our lives in America now. Yeah. And we could talk about that for 6 hours. And so it almost felt like the time I was doing comedy before COVID didn't matter, because all your topical stuff is gone because all those jokes are sold. You can't use them. You've got the jokes you were telling for the year beforehand that you've ingrained in your head. You've got the stuff that is so rusty that you've forgotten it, so you basically have to write it from scratch. So yeah, I started doing comedy like 5-6 years ago, but it feels like I've only been doing it for 2 years ago.
That's tough.
It is.
Especially because, like, when you're getting to, like, that feature spot and, like that, there's a lot you can go from the feature spot, because obviously, like, you have enough material, you can keep going to do all these shows, and then eventually you're trying to get to that headlining spot. Well, then if you are at that feature spot, if you didn't quite get to that headliner spot, then it's
the brakes just
on
you, and you really do. Although I do have to say, it is better, at least in Duluth now, than it was before COVID. The comedy scene is way better. There are venues that we've happened across that have been like super supportive. I gotta give props to the Caddyshack here.
Yeah.
Because not only have like Steph and Chrissy, they've been super phenomenal, like just supporting the open mic that we do there, letting us put on whatever show we use there, not charging us to use the space. It's been, and not just like a showcase show or like a traditional stand-up show, but like, I've done the trivia shows there. We've got the one-liner show. They've done roast battles there. Somebody did a comedy dating show that happened. The best week of my life was that they asked me to be in that show. I'm like, well, conveniently for me, you've scheduled it the weekend, and I'm going to Milwaukee to see Primus. So no, because that's Primus.
Yeah,
like, you could have told me I was headlining at the Apollo. I'm like, that's great, but I have tickets to see Primus doing a Rush tribute tour. So I'm not going to make it.
I'm out.
I'm sorry. Like, I love comedy. It is by far my second favorite thing in the world. because Rush was a thing.
Yeah.
And when you tell me that Primus is doing a tribute to Rush's A Farewell to Kings, I'm driving to Milwaukee and no one is stopping me.
Yeah.
Did you know Milwaukee has an art museum?
Oh, no, I didn't.
No, it's super cool, which is weird because I expected to spend a weekend in Wisconsin and be surrounded by just a bunch of alcoholics who didn't know what they were talking about.
Well,
But they have a really nice art museum full of alcoholics who don't know what they're talking about. But it's
That's funny.
But they've got like Rembrandts in the background, so I'm like, oh, that's cool.
So there's something to look at outside of the entertainment of the
There is like as far as like cities I've spent time in, like Milwaukee is actually probably one of my favorites, and not just because I found a place that does vegan bratwurst.
Oh.
Because I'm a vegetarian, which people don't believe because I'm also almost 300 pounds, and most people have never seen a fat vegetarian before. So it's like finding a unicorn.
And you also do comedy, so you can actually talk about it too.
And that's the problem is that you say that you're a vegetarian, and people look at you and they go, "No, you're not." I'm like, just follow me to the end of the joke.
Yeah.
Just wait 30 seconds before you judge my appearance.
I'm learning a lot about you, Chad.
Oh yeah, that's kind of the point, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what that.
If you were doing an interview of me and then learned nothing, I feel like something went wrong.
Yeah, that's a failed interview.
Yeah.
That's our job, Andy, as hosts. Maybe you didn't understand that because you're the co-host.
No.
Anyways, let's.
The more times I can set you guys up for that joke, the better I'm going to feel about the episode. That is the joke of the show.
It's been going since day one. I don't think it's a joke
Yeah.
anymore.
No, I think it's gotten under our skin too much.
I think it's this horse that you guys find to keep beating with sticks.
Yeah.
It's been dead for several years.
Oh, it's been. We're gonna keep going, man.
Yeah, every week you're like, oh well, got the sticks again. Here's the horse again.
I gotta ask you, where are you from, Chad? Are you Canadian?
Oh God, that would be a way better backstory. No, I'm from Ohio.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. Oh, no one's ever said "oh wow" before. Most people go, "Oh God, I'm so sorry." Like living in Ohio is so weird because the joke among Ohio residents is that the motto for our state is "Welcome to Ohio." Haha! Now you're stuck in Ohio. Because it's just you've got Cleveland, which is not a great city to be in because the Browns are there, and I'm a diehard Cleveland Browns fan. But they are, to quote a comedian from there, a factory of sadness. And then you've got Cincinnati, who has a museum that thinks that Jesus rode a dinosaur. And those are your two cities that you have to talk to people about. So I would love to have been from Canada because at least I would have gotten a fun accent. I got nothing.
Well, when you did your French, you sounded French Canadian. So I was like, and then you started talking a little bit more, and like, he sounds a little bit more Canadian. I was like,
it's an affectation I've tried to adapt because if I can hide where I'm actually from, that's probably better for everybody involved. I mean, I have like great friends in Ohio, and my family is also there.
I grew up in Indiana, so Ohio has a lot. I mean, don't you have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yeah, that's not as cracked up as it's laid out to be. It might have been like back in like the 90s, things like that. But now it's more of just a modern like pop music culture museum. Like they had Lady Gaga's meat dress in there for a while after that, which they turned into jerky to keep it, believe it or not.
What?
But they don't sell it at the gift shops. Like, what's the fuck point?
I would eat that.
Yeah, that's probably not good for you. Someone wore that.
I would not eat that.
But no, and like obviously, yeah, these are cultural music icons. But you put rock and roll, like have a separate music hall of fame.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, but
you guys also had Cedar. You have Cedar Point there too, right?
Cedar Point is bitchin'. That I will give you. You haven't seen somebody really express themselves as a human being where he's going to come in and tell me the story. But we had a buddy of mine in high school who was terrified of heights, like absolutely terrified of heights, terrified of roller coasters, wouldn't get on. So we took him on the Millennium Force there, which is like one of the most famous roller coasters in the world. And you had to wait 2 hours to get on this coaster.
Jeez.
So, oh yeah, it's crazy. So he's waiting in line most the whole time, like just scared as shit, right? We finally get him on the coaster. Uh, it's a 2-minute ride. And the way it starts is they take you up to the top, and then the first hill is, I think, 93 or 94 degrees. So it's not, it goes down and then in and then right back out. So
Wow.
it is a more than vertical straight drop.
Dang.
And then the coaster, the ride itself is like another 2 minutes after that. We get to the end of it, we look at my buddy and we go, Andy, how you holding up? He's like, man, I legitimately pissed myself.
Oh shit.
And that is the most fun I've ever had. And now he's like an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
Now. Like every time we try to go back, I try to go back home. It's been years, but it's like, yeah, let's go to Cedar Point. Let's fucking go.
So you changed his life that day.
Yeah. He in one ride got over it.
Wow.
So for our listeners that don't know, can you tell us what Cedar Point is?
It is one of the largest amusement parks, I think, in the United States. And it's right on Lake Erie. And it's got that Millennium Force. It's also got the Top Thrill Dragster, which for the longest time had the record for the fastest coaster in the United States. The ride is, I think, 13 seconds. And you go from 0 to 140 miles an hour in about 6 seconds.
Wow.
And it basically shoots you straight forward, straight up, straight back down around the other side. And that's the whole ride. It's less than 14 seconds. And again, you're in line for 2 hours to ride this thing for a 14-second ride.
Holy cow. I want to try that for sure. Can you get like fast passes so it's not as long?
No.
No?
There wasn't at the time, but I haven't been there in like 7-8 years, so.
Man.
I don't know what's changed since then.
I want to go, but that's a long, you're only going to get like 4 rides in a day.
Oh yeah, sometimes. Those are the only 2 with super long lines. Like most of the coasters you get on in less than 10 minutes. So you'd ride the Millennium Force, you'd ride Top Thrill. And a lot of times, like if you'd been there more than once, you'd do one or the other because you've done them before.
Okay, yeah.
And then they'd have new rides that came up every once in a while. You would ride the Raptor, which everybody called the Nutcracker, because it was one of those rides where you stood up on and had like shoulder belts on, but then they had this piece for you to basically straddle in the middle, which was not comfortable for men because there were a lot of vertical ups and downs.
Yeah.
So if those shoulder bars weren't tight, you were bashing the shit out of your testicles on this thing. That is probably responsible for more cases of male infertility in Ohio than anything else I can possibly think of.
Well, that and just being a Browns fan.
It's the intersection of the two.
Okay.
Well, that's more of a cause of abstinence than fertility. Actually, no. Psychologically, that's probably backwards because most women in Ohio, their standards are so low from the Cleveland Browns. They're like, well, you can't be worse than that. Yeah. That did not work for me in college either, it turns out. This did not sell well.
But I bet the ladies liked that ride. Did the ladies like it?
There were mixed reviews on it.
Oh, okay. So some of the ladies that...
Some of them really, were into it, and then some of them were like, it was like having my vagina hit with a meat tenderizer.
So they had to like it rough.
Yeah, I was going to say, they got to like it rough.
Yeah. You learned what brand of crazy to avoid riding that coaster with people.
So you'd bring your girlfriend, and if she liked it, you'd be like...
Well, this has been fun, but statistically, you're going to steal my organs. So.
Statistically.
Nice. It's usually the kind of women I chase.
That's why humans have 2 kidneys, in case she steals one.
Yeah,
exactly.
You could make that mistake once and live.
That's why I have fake organs scattered throughout my body, just so I hope that they take the fake one. That didn't work.
That's not... Well, I mean... I thoroughly believe you don't know enough about anatomy to know where to put the fake organ.
I would put a heart like right here.
No, you would like grab the little things from like the operation board game and just swallow them. And like, yeah, I've got fake organs now. She's never going to find the real ones. And if she does, she's going to go,
I can't remember the comedian, but he was talking about his family and how much he loved them. I can't remember the bit completely, but he was like, my brother was so kind, he gave me one of his kidneys. So he's got 1 kidney now. I got 3.
Oh God, I've heard that. I don't know who it is either. That's going to bother me now.
All right. How long were you or have you been an open micer? Like, do you still consider yourself an open micer or a feature act or?
I like to think of myself as a feature act, but again, you kind of hit that hard reset on COVID, and it's turned more into a thing where I produce more of my shows than I'm in other people's shows, which I don't mind, because then I get to set the terms for my show, so that's a lot nicer to me. But it is kind of frustrating to like not be in other like traditional stand-up shows as often as I'd like to be.
Yeah.
We've got our show that we technically just did, except not the time of recording.
Yeah.
And then I've got another show in February that I'm doing a spot for, but it's a lot of like showcases and stuff like that. Because we've been doing a lot of things in Duluth where you get local comedians. And I think my biggest problem that I need to get back into doing is like recording a bunch of these shows and sending them into places. I hate watching recordings. I take that back. I love watching recordings of myself because, again, cowering narcissist. Which, like, when this episode comes out, I will listen to it twice a day for 2 weeks. I guarantee you, because I love the sound of my own voice and I love to hear it. But then you go to, other people have to hear this, and then my brain goes, it has to be perfect. It's not that I don't want them to see it. It's like it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
So, like, I had a set that I thought absolutely killed at an open mic. I'm like, oh, I should keep this recording until I got to the end of it. Because I forgot, because it was a joke about a Subway footlong, and I accidentally said Subway foot dog. And it got a huge laugh, right? Because he said dog. Well, I'm like, well, yeah, but now I can't use that because the joke is now shot.
Yeah.
I want, like, if I'm sending this to an agency, like, yeah, maybe seeing me recover from a flub like that would be great, and the recovery was good, but then you're missing out on the joke, and the joke is what I'm trying to sell, like the brand and the act, not the, oh, I can make myself look like an ass and just recover from it. Like, I worked retail, that's what you did for 30 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like a talent in itself too. So I mean,
it is. But it was also the closing joke of the set. So I'm like, you want to look like the guy who trips at the finish line and then has to salvage a show. Like, if I had done that a minute into the set, I think it would have looked a lot better.
Yeah, and you could have salvaged that and shown like, oh yeah, I am able to get out of it. And but at the end, I guess it would show a little bit different. I would still hire you. But I don't.
I've hired you.
I know. I was gonna say I haven't done shows yet. So I've done one show, or no, 2 shows. I've ever done 2 shows ever. One before COVID and one after COVID. But that's it. And I didn't even like. The show came to me. I didn't even like try to do the show.
Yeah, you've got to teach me how you do that.
I don't know how I did it. I just one of the people at the casino was like, hey, I want to do a show at my place. I'm like, okay, I'll talk to some people and see what we can do, and we put it together. So it's fun.
Oh no, like once you're at the show, it's always fun.
It's just that before doing like getting it all set up, doing all the marketing.
It's not even that. The worst part is like the day of the show, like the 2 hours before, especially like, if I'm just performing this, like, oh, I'm gonna have a couple drinks so I can get just drunk enough to do this, and then do my time. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
But when you're producing the show, it's the why aren't all the comics here yet?
Oh.
And is anybody else going to flub anything up? Am I going to get asses in seats to make a profit on this? Like, you have all those anxieties that don't stop until literally the minute you start the show.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough.
Have you? This is a question I have for you guys because it's something that, as a producer, has irritated me. Why are comedians never on time for anything? It is fucking mystery to me, and I do not understand it.
Yeah.
Like comics are late at an open mic, fine, sure, whatever. But like when you've got a 7 o'clock show that your headliner is walking in the door at 6:57, are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need to like get some stuff figured out. I can tell you all this stuff, and I understand.
I think you're talking to the two wrong comedians. I think me and Roddy are always usually a half hour early to everything.
I try,
but then you see other people doing it.
All the time.
It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
The worst show, one of the worst shows ever to do, it was a casino down in Danbury that I was just doing a guest spot for at the time. This was like maybe the first year of my career. And we go down, I'm only supposed to do like 10 minutes, and then the feature I was going down with, he was going to do a half hour. So we get there, it's December, it's snowing as it does. The show's supposed to start at 7:30. We get there like 6:45, and the guy at the venue is like, the headliner's going to be late because he's driving here from Chicago, and I don't know what time he's going to get here.
Oh,
and
wow.
you guys just vamp for as long as humanly possible.
Oh,
So instead of the 10 minutes I had written, I did about 35.
Oh, wow.
And then the feature did, I think, close to 50.
dang.
And then the host of the show ended up doing like a 15-minute set at the beginning just to buy some extra time just in case.
Yeah.
Like, we need to stretch this out. The
Holy
headline
shit.
doesn't get in the building till 10 to 9.
Oh, whoa.
So by the time he gets on stage, he's on stage at like 9:30. You would think he would do, like, he does an hour of material still.
Yeah.
So now you got people who, like, normally the show is already over.
Yeah.
They've now watched a 4-hour show. And it was a type of room where, like, it was an interesting room to do, but it was like the same crowd literally every time because it was at a casino. So
Yeah.
it was like they're in the guest room where they did the show. It's the same people who are in that, like, the premiere club or whatever. They're here to drink and watch a show. They know it's the same comedians. Which was funny for me because there was this one table of 4 who they always sat in the front. It was the same 4 people, and they heard 90% of these jokes before. So they were fun to riff off of.
Yeah.
Because, they were finally starting to the point where they had comebacks with some of the stuff. Like, you were helping me more than you could possibly know right now. Like, as much as I don't normally endorse this kind of thing, like, we need to fill for time.
Yeah.
You're lucky you didn't lose the crowd.
Well, because that's not the worst, like, there was an open mic I did once. It was one of the mics I ran before COVID. And we were getting close to the show, and literally the only 2 people in the venue are me and the bartender. Like, there's no one else here. So I look at, Kurt was his name. Kurt was like one of the best bartenders I've ever had here, and he had a great sense of humor. And because he would always go, like, I should just steal you guys' jokes and do them on stage because it'd be funny. I'm like, I would, Kurt, yeah. But I look at Kurt and I'm like, look, we're not gonna do this, right? There is literally no point in me doing material you've heard 30 times to an empty room. So I pay my bill, I'm getting ready to leave, and a waitress sits this couple down at one of the tables. And the waitress asks them, oh, what brings you guys out tonight? And the wife goes, well, it's our 5th anniversary, and we heard there was comedy here tonight, and we really want to laugh right now. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I do an hour for this couple. I filled a whole time slot by
Holy
myself.
shit.
Dang.
Oh God, it was brutal. They had a blast. I don't know if they actually loved it or if they were just being polite, but I got laughs out of them. Like, so it's and you've been doing it up in the Northland long enough, and I've seen this kind of in the cities, but not as much, where people will not laugh at a joke, but then come up to you after the show and say how much they loved it.
Yeah.
Like, because they don't want to be rude. They don't want to laugh in the middle of the show. I'm like, okay, but I need you to do that. Because it worked.
Yeah. I need the immediate feedback.
Need the feedback.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like, I love doing shows where like people are quoting your jokes to themselves especially when you're like just a feature and then you hear them quoting your jokes and not the headliners. Like, I just get this shit-eating grin on my face.
Oh, same. Yeah, I've had that happen where you're just like talking to somebody after the show and they're like, I love this joke, and you're like, you remembered like some of my material. That's awesome. Like,
or it's not even like they're talking to you. Like, they're telling your jokes to their friends as they're leaving. And like that feels great. Or like I had one guy like ask everybody in the show for an autograph just because he felt bummed because I think he saw Bob Dylan like before Bob Dylan had made it big.
Oh.
And didn't get an autograph from him. He's like, I don't care if you guys aren't ever gonna make it, but if you do, I'm not rolling those dice. I want an autograph. Like, that's honestly paranoid, but I'll sign the poster or whatever.
Well, I mean,
it was just authentic. Like, he had a good time and wanted to keep something for him. I thought that was really cool.
That is really cool, especially like if that happened to me and I missed out on like a Bob Dylan or like that would
Or
just
somebody
be
better.
Yeah.
I should not say that when I live in Duluth.
That-
I get very angry.
I thought it was
They're
good.
like, you can't shit on Bob Dylan up here. I'm like, well,
I just
I'm
did.
going to.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with Bob Dylan, but I do like, if I've got a mediocre opinion of somebody and somebody has a great opinion of them, there is a gold mine of material in the middle that I have no problem delving into.
Yeah.
Devil's advocate, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so like I'll do a better example. Somebody lower than Bob Dylan. Maybe like Rush.
Oh, you're saying that to a man who has a complete Rush vinyl collection. I have one of the things I'm most proud of that I own. Like back when I lived in Ohio, Rush was doing the Time Machine tour. It was the 30-year anniversary for the Moving Pictures album, one with Tom Sawyer on it, and better songs. And I love Tom Sawyer, but I saw Rush 5 times. The only song I've heard them play 5 times, Tom Sawyer. They had 20 studio albums, but they did a live show where they did all of Moving Pictures, and they released the live recording of that on vinyl. And the show they recorded was the show I was at in Cleveland.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
I've got the vinyl of the show that I was at, and it's just it's so cool.
That's so cool, because like that's like not only an experience that you had, but you get to like relive that experience over and
constantly.
over.
Yeah,
that's really cool. Okay, I'll give you that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
that is.
All right. How many times do you think you should be going on stage every week, and do you think it matters?
Ooh. I mean, it depends on how talented you are, right? Ultimately, like I think if I had an opportunity to be on stage at 5 open mics a week, definitely, just to get the practice in, and also because it's the only thing I do where I leave my house, so it keeps me from going completely insane. I think it's got to be a balance between how often you go on stage and how often you write. Because I do find that like when I go on stage 3-4 times a week, I'm not doing new material when I'm doing it because I'm taking time out of the day where I would normally be writing or working on something to do stuff that might need some polish for sure, but isn't new. So, and then I get bored and I get into a rut and I don't write anything. So if you find that going out every night is getting in the way of your writing, back off.
Yeah.
Because like even a lot of the jokes I did before COVID, like yeah, I lost a bunch, but there's a bunch and they're like 4 or 5 minute jokes that are burned into my brain and they're not going anywhere. So I don't need to be practicing those as much.
Yeah.
But then you do them, you get feedback, maybe new ways to tell the joke, and that's useful. But if going out all the time and rehearsing the same material is keeping you from writing something new, maybe strike a balance there. I guess is the best way to think about it.
Yeah, then maybe back away and then do more writing rather than.
Well, because you're half writer, half performer.
Yeah.
That's the general rule of stand-up. Says the guy who's been doing it for only a couple of years. But you've got to strike a balance, because if you're not doing anything new, you're gonna feel stale.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and when you can tell you're stale, like because you've seen it with some open mic comics where they go a lot and they do the same thing, and you can tell they're not bringing, like, yeah, there's only a handful of people in the room, but they're not bringing their energy to it. Really. Mm-hmm. Your number one thing, if you're on that stage, you're a comedian and you've got to be in it. Like, yeah, it's a small room and yeah, they're not laughing at it. You do your set the way you would do it if that room was full.
Yeah.
Because you don't get better if you don't do that. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to build a reputation as somebody who's not bringing energy into their performance, who's not going in and being the them that they are on stage.
Yeah.
And the comedians especially can tell when somebody's not bringing their A game, not trying.
Yeah, you can see if somebody's phoning it in for sure.
For sure. But like if you feel like you're phoning it in even in a good room because you've been doing it a lot, take a step back, process it.
Yeah. Yeah, because you still want it to be like as if you're doing it like for the first time. Like each joke should feel like it's coming out of your mouth for the first time.
And it's the same as like any other job. Like sometimes you just need fucking vacation. Sometimes you have to step back and process everything.
Yeah, if you can't treat it like a paid ticket show, then you shouldn't be up there.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're just creating bad habits.
Right, and then they don't go away, and then you have to work harder to get them out of your set.
You know,
you don't want that.
Yeah, yeah, you don't want to lose material just because you lost all your energy for it.
Well, it's not even about losing the material; it's about losing your stage presence. It's about coming off as somebody who isn't a comedian; it's somebody who tells jokes, and there's a difference.
Yeah,
right? Like there just is. You don't want to be somebody who tells jokes; you want to be a comedian, and you want the audience to look at you and go, "That's a comedian," not "That's my buddy who's on stage telling jokes."
Yeah.
Ooh, I never looked at it like that.
What was that?
I said I've never looked at it like that.
Yeah.
Whew, that would hurt.
It would, yeah. Like especially if you've been doing it for a long time, and somebody just like, oh, that's just a funny guy. Like, no, that's a comedian. Mm-hmm. I haven't been doing this for 6 years to just be a funny guy.
Yeah, yeah. You want to be known as a comedian.
Yeah. Now, if you're a comedian who's not a funny guy, that's a problem too.
That is.
Then you're just a dickhead,
Yeah.
right?
I can accept that. So, all right. Is comedy what you thought it would be?
Yes and no, because you need like a hand wavy answer to stall for time while you're thinking of what to actually say. The creative process is different than I thought it would be. Because when I was younger and people would tell me like how funny I should be a comedian, I was being like authentic in a moment and being witty, and people were interpreting that as being, a stand-up comedian. And it is. You have material, you have process, you have writing to do, a lot of like reflecting and refining and practicing. Um, but a lot of that writing starts when I'm just in a natural environment and I say something that's witty, and now I carry a notebook. And the performing, I think, is pretty much like I thought it would be, because it's I'm making people laugh on purpose, which is different than making them laugh on accident, because we've all been to high school. We remember what that was like. You don't need to live through that again.
He's having flashback.
Okay, it's like Vietnam, but with teenage hormones. It's just, especially when you had the guy in high school who pretended to have Vietnam flashbacks. And, like, God, I still remember, like, I went to my senior prom because my parents convinced me to do a lot of stupid things when I was younger. And he faked the Nam flashback in the middle, like, flipped the table, said something about Charlie's coming out of trees, just like, dude, you're 18.
Oh my god.
You weren't even old enough to be in a movie about Vietnam.
Yeah. Oh wow.
I mean, it was a high school in rural Ohio. Half the people there were drunk anyway. Like, yeah, we were expecting this. Dial it back a little bit. Don't break any furniture.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, the performing, I thought, like, having done it for a few years now, I thought that it wouldn't get stale.
Mm.
Part of it does, because even when you're doing, like, a feature set, like, part of it is you are opening and closing with one of the same two jokes every time. Like, you've got every comic who, I've got the number of shows I've gone to, because my best opening bit is like a 4-minute rant about McDonald's.
I love that bit.
It's such a good bit. But the problem is that it becomes the bit that people recognize you for.
Mm.
So when you go to a place and you don't do that bit, people are like, why aren't you talking about McDonald's? Like, because I have other sets.
Yeah.
Like, if I do the same set every time, I'm going to stop getting booked for smaller shows. People want something new, especially when you're going to the same venue over and over again. Like, if I was touring up more, and like if I was going to places other than Duluth and Minneapolis and Brainerd and places like that that are close, like, yeah, you do the same thing twice a week is like punching a time clock.
Mm-hmm.
But, to do it every show you're in for 6 months at a time, it does get stale. But the flip side of that is when you've got different crowds that hear the stuff, everybody's got a different reaction to it. So no two laughs are the same. I could tell the same joke in 30 different places and get 30 different laughs. So that part of it is refreshing. You just have to overcome that initial like roadblock. Like, I don't want to be the guy who's stuck repeating this, as much as I love the joke, because it's a great joke. But you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into one. You don't want to be.
You don't want to be known for just one Mick bit. You want to be known for.
You gotta, like, I've got one joke. Like, I've got two jokes. Like, when I first started comedy, like in the first year, one of the two comics up here in Duluth, who's like really professional level touring comedian, told me that this was the best joke I ever wrote, which was, I get into a habit of recording all my sets. I like to watch them later, but it feels really narcissistic to be watching my jokes while I'm masturbating. And it's such a cheap, like, just quick line.
Yeah.
And she looked at me after I did that, and she's like, that's the best, that's a TV quality.
Yeah.
On the one hand, like, in retrospect now, having been in comedy less than a year, to have somebody who tours tell you that you've got a special quality joke should have been a compliment. at the time I was furious because it was a throwaway line I made up on the spot.
Oh yeah.
And it was like I had all these jokes I've been crafting. Like the McDonald's joke it wasn't even new at that time. I had been telling it for
Okay.
years. So to have like all these jokes I've been crafting get overshadowed by a throwaway line at the time felt like just such a kick in the balls.
Yeah.
But then you look back at it, if you knew it for a long time, like, no, in the grand scheme of things, if I got a compliment like that early on in my career, I should take that and run with it.
Yeah. No, I think that would be a very good compliment, especially like that's my style is mostly one-liners, and so like
mostly. So
yeah,
not entirely.
Yeah.
It's entirely. It is. That is literally all. I've read a bunch of them. And that's not to say that they're not good, but like, have you tried 2 lines? Have you tried?
I've tried a couple lines. Yeah, I've gotten a couple of them. I think my longest joke is a minute right now.
That has to feel like an eternity for you.
It does feel like an eternity. I feel like I'm boring people at a minute.
I don't
Well,
think I've
you're
ever
boring
seen.
them at 15 seconds. So what's another 45?
That was good. But yeah, so like if I got a compliment like that, I would just use it as another bit. Like I would just use it as another joke.
See, but here's another problem. Because I've seen a bunch of comics try to do like meta comedy and make jokes about comedy, and they don't land with audiences because they don't know what it's like to be a comedian. That would be like if you went up and did a joke about your day job and you were complaining about Kevin, and that was the joke. And yeah, that's funny at work
because
everybody knows who Kevin is.
Yeah.
You do that on stage, they're like, "What are you talking about?" Like I had a buddy I used to work with a couple jobs ago, owns a $1,200 pair of Armani jeans.
Oh.
We worked like retail at dealerships to put this in. Like, so it was insane person behavior because jeans are $20.
Yeah.
That's what they cost.
Yeah. That's
if you're a sane person, you're spending $20 to $40 on a pair of jeans. And he's like, no, but I bought them on sale for like $400. I'm like, okay, you're still not understanding that this is crazy person.
Yeah. That's still way too much.
It's obscene. Yeah. So of course at work, constantly we're ripping on this guy who bought a $1,200 pair of jeans that already had holes in it because that was the style back in the day. Yeah. I tried so many times to write that on stage. It's not funny if you don't know this guy, if you don't know the content of what you're working on. So then you have to go, how do I take this and build the context in without losing the crowd and like coming up with jokes on the way? And then you've got how many hours in work into writing something, and you look at it and go, it's just not relatable from the start because it's only funny in this context.
Yeah, that's the tough part about like doing those bits, and that's why I don't write that style. Like I do all the one-liners because it's easier for me to just get in, get out, and move on to the next one.
There's how many sex jokes there? Like we could do. We could do an album just on that sentence.
I know. Get in, get out, move on with your life.
A romance novel by Justin Rock.
Hey, I had a good time. I hope.
I'll get you next time.
I owe you. Is it me?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I've totally lost the thread of this conversation.
So how long have you been writing? How long do you write? For example, I'm sorry, how do you write? Sorry. So how long have you been writing? How do you write? For example, do you write on stage or off stage? And if off stage, what does your writing process look like?
Oh, God. I mean, how long do you have, right?
Wow.
Well, part of the problem is I engage in a lot of creative process. Like I work on music. I'm trying to write novels and jokes at the same time. So, of course, my brain switches through different modes all the time. I come up with premises sort of like just in my day-to-day life. Like I see something or I think of something, I write the premise down, maybe like a quick setup. But then when it comes to like actually writing the joke for the first time, I kind of just wander into a mic with a premise and see where my brain goes.
Interesting.
And then I record that and I go back to it and like, I did this work. And then it's like piecing the words down, figuring out what works. Because I've found, and again, this is a totally personal thing, where if I try to force myself to pick the words from the beginning, it feels so scripted and rehearsed. I just feel so rigid. So I feel like I'm not having the flexibility to find where the funny is. So I try it just with like the premise for the first few times, and then go on to go, all right, now that I've ironed this out, is there something here? Isn't there? And if there is, how do I make it funnier? But if I start too rigid, I don't give myself like improv, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I get like some of my older bits. I get nervous when people throw me up, and I shouldn't be. Like I've been doing it for so long. But if somebody throws me a curveball, I'm not ready for. How do I work that back in?
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen people that are great at that. I've seen people that are terrible at that. I've seen people who have written 2 jokes and then do 20 minutes of crowd work and it kills. I'm super jealous of that ability because I can barely have a 2-minute conversation with people I don't know, let alone 20. There are reasons I don't date. Like I don't want to have that argue how's the weather. Like no.
Let's just get into this. You're not the get in, get out type.
No, God, no. I don't date. I don't care for that. Overrated. I tried liking people once. It's an overrated experience. Mostly because like then they're in your house and you're like, what are you doing in my house? Go away.
Quit touching my stuff.
Yeah.
Let's say oh, Justin and I are recording this in my house.
Nice.
But no, I mean, as far as like, I forget the other writing question you asked me.
So how long have you been writing? How do you write? And then is it on stage, off stage?
Well, I've been doing comedy for about 6 years, so I've been writing for about 20 to 30 minutes. And no, I mean, because like I've probably been writing jokes longer than I've been performing. Because everybody's got that pipe dream where like they find stuff they've written when they were younger and like this is garbage. But then you laugh at the one thing. I'm like, well, maybe I'll keep that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
I understand that because I've been writing since like 2010. I've been writing one-liners for that long, but I've only been like when I first performed at Dublin's, and like since then I've been performing regularly. This is the first time I've ever performed regularly, like every week. Where before I was performing, but it was like I'll perform here this month, I'll perform here this month. Like it was spotty.
It was like a hobby you were making time for.
Exactly.
Like a thing you were wanting to commit to is this is something I want to pursue with my time.
Yeah. So instead of like 50-50, like you're saying, like write 50% of the time and then perform 50% of the time, I was like 99% writing, 1% performing.
So you've got a backlog, basically.
I have a huge backlog. Yeah. That's why like the jokes that we have for this upcoming show that has already happened.
That's so funny to me.
I know. All of those jokes are jokes that I haven't done on stage, and I have hundreds of those jokes where I haven't performed them on stage. I'm just waiting to get to it, and that's why, like I said, I have my joke list with me because I want to get through all of those jokes first. Then once I get my jokes that I'm,
well, I guess at this point, just for me being selfish, if the show that we already did goes well.
We'll just keep doing
it. Oh, yeah, keep those on the back burner.
Yeah, I'll keep those on the back burner. Then I can start getting away from my notes. I can start working on the material that I have, like, not backlogged anymore, but it would be material that I've done, but it's kind of backlogged in the fact that I haven't performed those jokes in a while. Since, like, when I first started back in, like, I think it was February or March, I'll go back to those jokes. You know what I mean? And
do you have your laptop?
Yeah, I have it, but you're...
Yeah, okay.
I'll show him after.
Show him after the show, dude. You're gonna freak out. You think he's a neat freak and has everything. Wait till you see his jokes.
I have. I haven't seen all of them, but like I asked him for, like I think I asked you for 20 to 30 jokes, and you gave me 4 pages of an Excel spreadsheet. So I think you gave me 70 to 80 jokes that I had to parse down to like 24 just so we could fit it for time.
Yeah. So he gave you like a 500th of what he has on his computer.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And my favorite part of it is he's got them sorted by filthiness. So I'll take some of the clean jokes, some of the dirty jokes, and I'll split them up. And
he says
it's great. It's great for flow of the show. Yeah. Because I can figure out where to put everything.
Yeah. And I was trying to be like helpful in that aspect because I have it organized how I want it organized, but I organize it specifically by dirtiness just for you.
And it worked, yeah. Because not only was it easy for me to read, but I do love that you had typed on every page that you had written these jokes with the date that you had printed the page off.
Oh,
Like the
dude.
sheer level of paranoia, like,
Yeah.
which I totally get.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if any of those jokes were good, I probably would have taken them, but conveniently, we've got a platform for
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
He says he's going to get away from notes eventually. I'm waiting for him to go the opposite direction. I'm waiting for him to pull out a freaking screen and do a slideshow and all this.
But I don't want to give away my punchline, so I can maybe like do all my setups that way. But
Or it'd be the type of thing where, like, the stuff you had in the background was maybe just, like, nonsensical images that had something to do with the joke.
that would be fun. I have thought about that, like have some sort of an image, like there's just a duck, and then I like do my setup, but I don't really say what the duck is, but the duck is the punchline, so that's why.
Have you seen? There's a comic that did something like that. It's one of the British comics. I can't remember his name, it's going to bother me. But he's the guy who has all the rubber ducks in his apartment with. So he collected rubber ducks,
Yeah.
just to irritate his roommate.
Nice.
So and then the roommate would complain about the ducks, so he would go get more, and then he filled the bathtub with it. And I think the last bit of the joke is, she goes, "You have to get rid of all the ducks. I'm going to throw you out." And he's like, "Can I keep one duck?" And she's like, "Fine." So he buys a giant rubber duck that fills the entire bathroom.
That is
That's
awesome.
awesome.
She moved up.
Oh,
But yeah, it's like he does like the text messages in the background. He just takes like pictures of the ducks. One time they were in,
I
like,
think I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember his
It's
name.
bothering me.
I feel like I've heard this, but I can't picture it either. Like,
It went viral a couple years.
yeah, I was gonna say it sounds familiar. That's hilarious, though. I want to do that.
Right. So, like, I love, because Joe Lycett's done that style too. The only reason I know it's not Joe Lycett is because Joe Lycett doesn't wear glasses, and the other guy does. They're both British.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that throws me off. But I love that style where you've got this interactive medium that goes with the show.
Yeah.
Like, I tried a bit once. I've only ever done it once, where I had a giant notepad, and just the front page of the notepad it just said words I think are funny but aren't. Because they were ridiculous words. Like, I made up a phobia called, so you've heard of agoraphobia, right? Which is like fear of like open public spaces. Well, I have algoraphobia, or I'm afraid of failed Democratic presidential candidates, environmental activists. But there was a bunch of jokes like that, and like even like a couple times I would flip the notepad up, and instead of like saying like a definition, it would like insult me about something. So it would just like I was developing a back and forth within that of an object.
Nice.
So just I love that kind of, you're using something to enhance the bit, not just parrot it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a bit, like, I haven't used it yet because I haven't really had too many hecklers yet, or at least to the point where it like was annoying and I like couldn't get away from it or whatever. But one of my bits, because I have my notes up there with me, is I want to like be like interact with them if they're like continuously just being annoying. I'll be like, say, Chad, we're gonna pretend that you're the heckler. So I'll be like, I'm sorry, sir, what's your name again?
Chad.
Chad, it says in my notes here, it says your line is to sit down and shut the fuck up.
That's good. I do like that.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about what you were saying.
Right. I do like that you had to ask me to pretend to be annoying. Like that wasn't my default. It's the nicest thing anyone's ever said about me. So thank you.
I'm trying to compliment people these days.
How's that working for you?
Not very well. I got invited to a second roast battle. That's how it was. But I didn't win. So, I mean, it's working then, technically. I didn't win this time.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm being nicer. Trying.
You got beat by the deaf guy.
I did.
Although you won last time and got beat by the guy who won this time. So that you could have lost to somebody else.
Yeah, that's
true. I guess
true.
that could have gone worse for you.
Yeah. So I'm not terribly upset. I'm okay with it. Like, plus now I still have those roasts. So like, I'm not going to be able to be there this Thursday, unfortunately. I got to work. But, come the new year, I have so many roasts that I can just use for open mics.
I mean, at that point, because I'm sure he's going to do another one.
Oh, yeah.
Just bankroll those.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You don't give the ammo away. Because as much as I love doing like those shows and other like gimmicky shows, the type of shows like I spend months writing material that I will never use again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, that was really fun to do and it was a nice writing exercise, but I might have salvaged one punchline from an hour and a half show.
Yeah. Yeah, that you can use regularly.
Right.
Yeah.
But I suppose if you're writing for a gimmick and you leave that with of having a good time and one joke. It's not a waste.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it, is the fact that you still have that material. I'll either be able to use it at the next roast battle, or if I'm not going to play against that person the next roast battle, then I'll use it on stage regularly. As long as I perform after them, you don't want to do it. Hey, you know this Chad guy that's coming up?
I have seen people do that, and that is an awkward.
I know.
Especially when you're the guy who's next.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, oh, people, one, already have a bad image of me if they paid attention that long.
Yeah.
But two, you know why I haven't, because somebody just set them up.
Yeah.
Because then you got to go right back at them. Because otherwise, you're weak.
Exactly.
It's not an option.
Yeah, you need that retort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to throw a chair at somebody. That's just what you got to do.
I've only done that a couple times.
I don't know that I can visualize you throwing a chair.
I didn't. I've never done.
I'd recliner.
What?
High school was weird.
That's, yeah.
We were hanging out in my buddy's basement because it was the mid 2000s, and that's where you hung out, was basements, right? And it's fucking Mario Party. Mario Party over the fucking.
I love Mario
and
Party.
my one buddy's cousin just picked up a recliner and chucked it across the room. So I'm like, that's honestly a reasonable reaction to Mario Party, but
you stole my star.
Seriously, chill out, man.
Yeah.
Roddy will do it with his disc golf bag.
Oh, I've thrown my disc golf bag before.
I feel like you should throw the discs.
You should. I have done that too. I've taken the discs, all of the discs at once out of my bag and thrown them, not individually, but thrown them out of my bag. So I'm like, I don't even need these.
So does that still count as one throw, or do you like count each disc individually?
That was after the round.
Oh, okay. I don't know how the sport works. I assumed that you were.
It would count, I think. I don't know how that would, if you did that in a tournament.
Like you were playing a wild card or something, and just like, this is my one. I get to throw all of them and pick the best one.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
So, I don't think they allow that in tournaments, though.
Somebody's like, instead of a disc, I'm going to use a harpoon this round.
I'm using my...
That's a sport I would watch.
Yeah.
That is.
I'm using my shotgun on this one. Why are you guys... I'm not aiming towards the basket. I'm aiming towards you guys.
Oh, well, it looks like we reached the artillery round.
Jesus. It's going to graze them.
Do they do commentary for disc golf?
They do on, like, the professional stuff. They don't do it live. They do it after the fact.
Oh, what's the fucking point?
Well, they're trying to do it live. They did have a couple times that they tried it this year, but it is really fun to watch. If you ever if you ever want to watch, just watch Jomez is what it's called.
Yeah. Okay.
But the way that they do it, they film the day, and then they go back, they edit the video, and they do the commentary all that night. So then the next day, it's available for everybody.
They do Worlds live.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They do a couple that are live.
Yeah.
They haven't done everything yet. But, they're trying to get there, I think. But yeah, since the sport is growing, they're growing that as well.
So when they do it live, is it more like golf, or like, how does it sound?
Yeah, it's a lot like golf.
So
it's that really like quiet, reserved.
But the people that are doing the announcements are players.
Okay, so they know what's going on.
They know what's going on. They just are not
rotate out
that particular. Yeah.
So they didn't just grab like a couple bros who know what a frisbee is.
They did do that for Worlds. They grabbed just a guy that was like a really good announcer and like really good with on the mic, but he knew nothing about disc golf, and it was very awkward.
See, but that's got to be like, again, as a meta joke, hilarious. It's like when you have like a football announcer like announcing for golf or something.
Yeah.
Like, oh god, that's another one of those jokes. I hate it when I think of a joke that I know somebody's told. It might be a Brian Regan joke where he's talking about the Spanish football announcer announcing a golf tournament.
Oh, I don't know if that is. It might be Brian.
It was around the time that he was popular. I remember the joke entering like the public lexicon. But it's like he just whispered, he's on the green. Go! But I don't remember whose joke it is.
I don't think it's.
This is just a show where we remember other people's jokes, but not be told them.
That's funny. Yeah, but I know it was so crazy because this guy didn't know anything about disc golf, and so like nothing, like not even like minusculely, like he was just talking about like he's like, oh yeah, this is becoming a popular sport, huh?
So he was like doing like an interview for somebody.
Basically, yeah, and he's like, this is becoming pretty popular, and they're like. yeah, like this is,
Yeah, that's why we're having you announce
Yeah.
it, you moron.
Yeah.
That's the whole premise.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just awkward the whole time. It was just,
You have to, at least, like, having watched it for 2 minutes, grasp the basic concept.
yeah,
There's a
you would
disc,
hope.
there's a basket, make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and this guy, I don't know what his deal was, but like apparently he did other sports, but not disc golf. But he was like he felt like so degrading, like he was degrading the sport almost. But then you like I don't know, it was weird. He's just like, oh yeah, okay, well, I guess I could kind of see like
The enjoyment.
why people would yeah
Well, and also, like, if you're a professional announcer, why would you ever, again, it's like being a comedian versus being a funny guy,
Yeah.
right? Like, you're an announcer. You should know how to announce
Yeah.
at the very least. And what you don't do
Yeah.
is shit on the thing you're announcing in the middle. That's what
exactly.
you do on Entertainment
Yeah.
Tonight after the show.
But
You know,
but I don't think he knew he was shitting on it. Like that's the thing. Like he thought he was doing a good job.
but again, how can you be that oblivious to the
Yeah.
person and be a public speaker
Yeah,
in any capacity?
I have no idea. This guy was
That's a separate problem entirely.
yeah, I don't know. This guy was something else. But I'm assuming they're not going to do that again. I'm assuming they're going to get like all the people that are used to doing it.
Or just quick pitch, get Jason Bateman to do his character from Dodgeball.
That
Do
would be
that.
perfect.
That would be good.
That would have worked better than this guy.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's
This would have worked better.
the whole point of that was that he didn't know what he
Yeah.
was doing.
Exactly.
Let's see how it
Football
works out for him,
coach,
Cotton.
Yeah.
Bold strategy.
That's how you know when comedians are on the same wavelength, is they
Yeah.
get to the same joke within 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
All right. Do you ever practice your jokes alone or with friends and family?
Never with family, because you guys ever have this problem where your family tries to tell you jokes because they think they're funny?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
kind of hate it. And he can't get mad at me because it's true. My dad has this problem where he'll tell me a joke and it's really, really like uncomfortably racist.
Oh yeah.
My dad's an old white guy, and that's just what they do for fun now, apparently, I'm discovering. But he'll tell me, it's like, you should tell that joke. Like, I'm not performing at, like, a Klan rally or Republican National Convention.
Yeah.
I can't say
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be saying them either.
Yeah.
Because they're also not funny. On top of being offensive. And then my mother will go, like, you've got to, like, tell people your father's not racist. I'm like, no, he is.
Yeah.
That's why he said what he said.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
That's what racism is.
It's totally, yeah. I'm really glad they don't know how to use the internet, so they'll never hear this.
Yeah,
So
that.
that's fantastic.
Yeah. But dang. Yeah.
And, I have done some jokes with my friends, like, again, mostly when I was prepping for the trivia show, because it's one thing to, like, have something that's funny, but it's got to be funny and interesting. And so these are people that I know don't know this stuff. If they find it interesting and they laugh at it, it can stay in the show,
Mm-hmm.
provided they haven't already done it on QI. I ran into that again. I just thought another one. This is a show. I had to throw this out the day before the show because what was the first animal in space?
My mind goes to monkey.
Not a monkey. Fruit flies.
What?
So in 1947, the U.S. sent fruit flies up in a capsule to see if being outside the atmosphere would affect their breeding patterns. And it turns out it doesn't. So fruit flies were also the first species to successfully mate in Earth's atmosphere, because they retrieved the capsule and it had a new generation of live fruit flies in it. But again, the day before I did that show, I'm watching another episode of QI, and it was an old episode, and Stephen Fry goes, what was the first animal in space? Like, don't you fucking do this to me, Stephen Fry.
Did he?
He did, yeah. It was
Yeah.
exactly the same question.
So, what I went to when you said that, I thought it was going to be like on accident, like a fruit fly got into the space, and they're like, oh, there's a fruit fly in
No,
here.
they did it on purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the mission, but I do remember it was the U.S. in 1947. So it was even before the space race had really like kicked off, before we got to the Cold War, when the Russians killed that dog and we sent up a monkey, and then we got people into space.
I'm just imagining like some astronaut just.
No, it was an unmanned mission because we hadn't sent a man into space
Yeah,
yet, so it was just a
okay.
remote capsule with a bunch of fruit flies in it.
Oh.
They had to retrieve the capsule and get the flies out of. Which, like, if you're the intern at NASA that's got that job, that part's got to suck, right? To
Yeah.
be the guy who has to get the flies back out of the capsule, you gotta find them all.
Yeah.
You gotta find every
Yeah.
fly in there. And those flies been fucking, so you don't even know how many are in there anymore.
Yeah, they probably didn't even have a camera in there to like track them.
And then you hear a story like that, and then your brain goes, how do scientists operate? Right?
Yeah.
Because you guarantee there were a bunch of drunk people at NASA. They're like, some bugs into space. Just fuck it. Let's send bugs into space and see if they fuck up there.
See if it's a thing.
And then the next day they go back to work, and they're like,
Yeah,
okay,
fuck it, let's do it.
Cost? And yeah. It's the 40s. We're not going to stop you.
That sounds like something that like a podcast would do. Like somebody like, I don't know, the stupidest podcast.
Look, if you're telling me you've got a budget for us to send shit into space.
Not yet.
All right.
Not yet.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
We just got wristbands.
Now announcing the stupidest podcast space program.
That's like our third step.
Our shuttle's gonna look.
Biggest problem. I'm fairly confident neither of you are scientists. You might have to find one of those.
We're looking.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
All I know is marine biologists or geologists.
Yeah, we're about to put
and one nuclear engineer now. I think.
We're about to put a Craigslist ad out looking
for scientists. Yeah. Adopting the modern NASA hiring approach, taking the best people off Craigslist.
There's a couple guys that are living behind Walmart that are applying, so I mean, we're there.
Yeah. We're getting applications.
Do they think you're sending them to space? They don't have to be behind the Walmarts anymore.
They're like, wait, I can get out of here?
There's Walmarts in space?
That's funny.
That's moving up the unemployed ladder, going to space Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer the other part of your question, most often I'm practicing my jokes to myself. And I think I'm doing it most like probably the few days before I know I have a show. I do that thing where I'll time out the entire set. I had a promoter, like I was doing a feature spot for a gig. Have you had Patrick on yet?
Yes.
Yeah. So Patrick, I did a show with him out in Brainerd. And he's like, well, yeah, I want you to do about 15. You do like 12 or you do 17, that's fine. Like, no, that's not fine. If you tell me you want me to do 15 minutes, I'm doing between 15 minutes or 14 minutes and 45 seconds and 15 minutes and 15 seconds. Because you've got this time part, like you've got a headliner who's doing time, like I'm not going to play loose with your schedule.
Yeah.
Because that's just not professional, right? And I think I ended up doing 14 minutes and 57 seconds. I was like 3 seconds short. Like I'm fine with.
I can't believe you messed up that bad.
I know. Well, because when I had timed out the set beforehand, it was 15 minutes and 10 seconds. So I got to cut one joke, and it turns out the joke I cut was 13 seconds, not 10 seconds. Dang. And then I actually had to cut another 2 minutes because, of course, I do the McDonald's joke, and somebody thinks they're funny. I'm like,
and they had to.
How are you going to put that down now?
Yeah.
Like, look, you get one.
Yeah.
You can be funny with me one time. If that's good for the show. You do it twice, we have a problem.
Yeah.
My dojo. For the next 15 minutes, your ass is mine. You want to do this during somebody else's set? Fine, I don't care.
Yeah. Just don't do it during mine. And especially that bit. Don't mess up that bit.
Oh, no, that bit. That bit's gold. We're not doing it. We're not doing the whole bit.
No, you don't have to do the bit.
Because if we do that, then there's no reason for people to come see me. Because we just did the best jokes.
Yeah, no, that bit is gold in Arches.
Oh, God. I want to be mad at you, but that is actually kind of clever. So I think golf clap is
I'll take a golf clap on that one.
This golf clap.
I'm going to come up with that. That'd be.
Is that just like a golf clap where you take two discs and you just politely?
Yeah, you could do that. I was thinking backhand.
Well, or like two backhands, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks stupider than what you were doing. So.
Well, I was thinking because that's like how you throw a disc is backhand or forehand. So that's why I said that.
Are you sure this isn't like tennis? Like I'm really.
Yeah, it is kind of like tennis.
Okay.
The fact that you have the backhand, forehand, but it's how you throw the disc, so it's different. Because you don't throw a disc in tennis very often.
No, I usually throw a racket because
I'm
good at tennis.
All right, my question is, do you record your sets? If so, does it help for future performances?
Yes, I do, and yes, it absolutely does. It only doesn't help when I listen to a set and it went particularly poorly because of the way I told something. Like, if you do a good set to a quiet room, that just is what it is. But if I notice that I messed up a lot of my jokes, and I hear that back to myself. It can be demoralizing, but it's good to reflect on the mistakes that you made. Okay, I did this. I have to watch out when I'm telling this joke not to do this. But yeah, it's the one thing. I can't imagine how it doesn't help people. I guess is the main.
Yeah.
It can't hurt.
Yeah. So when you record, do you usually record video or audio or both?
Both is preferred. If I don't have the setup for both, I'd rather get just audio because I can listen to it while I'm doing other stuff and then have it like in the back of my brain and ingrain it. But one, you want video because you need stuff to send to promoters. So you never know when you're going to have just a random 5-10 minutes out of nowhere that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you got to have that going just to, in case you strike gold and then you kick yourself that you didn't record it.
Yeah.
Which has happened to me more than once. Like I'll forget to set up the phone or the camera and just kick myself because I missed it. And then of course the one person who's normally that films everything wasn't there that time.
Yeah.
So a little fallback to get it from. But yeah, for me, I like the audio more for my own purposes because like I know what I look like. I've seen a mirror before. Like that's not new technology. They've had those for thousands of years.
That's like most of your life, right?
Something like that, yeah. I have been around since the dawn of time when the Dread Lord Karzak carved the earth from the sea, and yeah.
I figured. Yeah, that's why we have you on. We wanted somebody from that era.
Yeah. An old fuck you wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and also like I'm a very Italian man, and so one of the things that we stereotypically do and is true is that we talk with our hands a lot. Like I remember my freshman year of college, I was taking a critical thinking class. I was getting into an argument with the professor, and he had to stop at one point and ask me like, "You're really talented, like gesticulating and talking with your hands. But if you had like classical debate training, like I'm just Italian to do this." To the point where like my father and I will have entire conversations without saying a word. We'll just gesture, which is great because my mom has no idea what we're talking about. So she just assumes we're insulting her, which 80% of the time is correct. We usually are. I did it so much when I was a kid that instead of like threatening to duct tape my mouth shut, like if I wouldn't shut up as a kid, my dad would go, "Just put your hands in your pockets."
Oh.
And I couldn't talk because my hands were in my pockets, so I couldn't say anything.
That's funny.
It's like it's something I'm so comfortable with that I don't think about it. Like even now, like
I'm seeing it.
Yeah, you can, and that's the worst part. Is like, of course, this is audio, so nobody can see that I'm moving my hands like a lunatic. But I've never been uncomfortable with my stage presence. So like, the only reason for me to get that is so that somebody else can see it. But if I'm gonna screw something up, it's the words I use, or I'm gonna trip on something and eat it on stage, and then I don't need the video for that. I'm fairly confident that the bruises on my face will remember.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, listening to it and even like catching, there's a comic around here and I give him a lot of shit for it. It's not fair because while he's doing a set and an open mic, I will count the number of times he goes, and like I will count all his verbal tics. And he's gotten a lot better, but like when I first started doing it, like you did 5 minutes and you said, 37 times. Which is like, it's super high. It's high enough to the point that like people are going to notice.
Yeah.
It. So I'm not trying.
You're helping.
I'm also being a dick about it because it's funny to me. But I am like I'm not trying to be malicious. I'm like look, this is and I only know it because I've been, like I said, I've done like paper presentations and conference speaking and things like that before. So I've been doing public speaking longer than I've been performing. And when you like take speech classes and you like really start rehearsing for stuff like that, like I just said and I heard myself do it. And like sometimes it flows naturally and sometimes it doesn't. And if it flows naturally, that's fine. But when you start every sentence with
you notice.
Well, also like it eats into your time on stage too. Like if you say 37 times,
that's a full joke you can add.
2 even if you write nothing but one-liners, like some people we know.
Who's that?
Danny.
Oh yeah.
Roddy's getting better with the ums though, isn't he?
I haven't counted his. I've probably heard, like, I don't pay attention to people doing it until I hear them doing it a lot.
Okay.
And then it's like, it bothers me. And you're probably not at the threshold where it bothers people that haven't had like that kind of training and things like that.
So then
but you're probably approaching it. So like you head that
Yeah.
habit off at the pass before you get any worse at it.
Yeah.
And again, your pattern flows a lot better. You free up more time in your set. Is like an is half a second. 37 of those is like 17 and a half seconds.
Yeah, I could get 2 jokes in that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
I could have sex 3 times in that. Like,
nice.
Don't do that on stage. They do not like. The
No.
venues frown upon that.
Yeah. Doing the or having sex on stage?
It's the intersection of the two.
Oh, okay.
Also, don't during sex because that's just evidence that you don't remember her name. It's just really awkward for everybody.
I don't I hum during sex. I'm like,
I thought you meant like you like vibrated and undulated oddly.
Oh, we can do that. Yeah.
No, that would be creepy. I would be like, why are you trying to find her resonant frequency in the middle of sex?
You guys want to hear a weird thing that I can do?
Can we stop you?
You can stop me if you want. You don't have to hear
No,
it.
it's funny now. I have
Okay.
to now.
So I can, I don't know if I can do it now just because I got a little thing in my throat, but I can hum and whistle at the same time.
Really? Oh, that is bizarre.
Is that cool?
It's really cool through the headset because
I can pick it up for sure.
Should I do it again?
It sounds like you know that thing they have at like the beginning of like weather announcers on their.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, it sounds almost exactly like that.
I need to come up with a weather bit now.
We had a kid in high school. We had a kid in high school that could beatbox and sing at the same time.
No shit.
Yeah,
Dang.
it was freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, I can't do one of those things.
I can't do it anymore, but yeah, it was really good. No, I couldn't ever do it.
It was nuts. I'm like, how? He's like, he goes, he tries to tried to teach me one time, and I'm like, that just ain't happening. Like, you're on a different wavelength, man.
Yeah, I have a tough time just with the singing part. So I can't beatbox and do that.
Yeah, my beatboxing career was like 20 years ago. Like that was.
Did you have one?
No.
I was hoping.
It's the same reason I've never had like a successful breakdancing career, right? Because I can pop it,
but you can't.
But I can't lock it because the shoulder doesn't like it.
And it drops it.
No one's ever laughed at that before.
I like it.
I've been doing that for like 10 years.
I like that.
People laugh more at the actual fake breakdancing than they do when because that's obviously you look like a jackass. Those guys have had like 4 movies, so they're doing something
right.
Yeah, if you count like the half movies that they've done, they got a lot of them.
I had a pitch for the last Jackass movie because I think it would be golden. I think what has to happen is that either Johnny Knoxville or Steve-O has to die while they're filming it.
Oh, dang.
But they don't tell anybody.
Well,
and they get all the way to the premiere. And it's like at the Hollywood premiere, you see that, and then they release that they're...
Johnny...
And obviously, super illegal. You couldn't do it.
No.
Johnny almost did. In this last one.
This last one?
Yeah.
I haven't seen
it either,
yeah. He redid the bull scene.
Okay.
He gets hit by the bull, and he got pretty fucked up. Punctured a lung. He was concussed, and I think he went into a coma for a couple of days and shit like that. Like, he was seriously fucked up.
Yikes.
And that's the other reason you can't do that joke, is because you say that, and he actually... And you're the fucking bad guy now.
Yeah.
Because you made a joke about it.
I saw an interview with Steve-O, and Steve-O goes... He was talking about it. He's like, people ask how we're still doing it at 50 years old. And he goes, we're still the same fucking guys. He says, and it's actually better because we get knocked out a lot faster, so we don't feel a lot of shit.
You reach that stopping point a lot sooner.
Yeah.
It used to be I had to get hit in the head 3 times. Now my knee gives out. I'm like, I'm done, guys.
Yeah. Yep. You used to feel a lot more pain. Now it's just, you're out.
Yeah, I mean... It makes sense, but to still do it, damn.
And it's like you find the one thing you're good at, and you keep doing it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're great at that. Bam Margera's great at not being Tony Hawk, you know. You play the cards you've been dealt.
Yeah, Bam wanted to be Tony Hawk.
There was a...
Well, yeah, it was the 90s. We all wanted to be Tony Hawk. That's what you... I do love the what is it, the tweets that he does when people, like, think he's Tony Hawk in public. Like, that's because I'm Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're not. But you look a lot like him.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody, like, found him at the airport, and his name on his suitcase was Anthony Hawk. And they're like, oh, are you related to Tony Hawk? Anthony is Tony.
Yeah, no, it just goes to show you what happened to literacy in America since the Bush presidency.
Yeah.
Now people don't know that's Tony.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Nate Bargatze's joke. Because on his license it says Nathan, and then on his passport it says Nathaniel. And I think he said something else or whatever. And the guy's like, I don't get it. I don't see it. He goes, no, they're the same name. He goes, with 75% of the name and 75% of the name and 100% of the picture, we can get there.
I've heard that joke before. I think the only thing that, like, as not a lawyer, but I have seen every episode of Law and Order, there's got to be, like, some legal problem there. It's like, I feel like those are the two documents that have to match the name on your birth certificate.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder, like, how did that actually play out? Like, did he just have to, like, prove that they both matched her certificate and then came up with the idea that the guy's an idiot later? Or was the guy at the TSA actually an idiot?
And that happened.
And then also there was a separate legal problem.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting story to hear. Get him on the podcast.
Working on it.
We're good friends with Nate, so he should be here tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's actually the next one after yours.
Yeah. That'd be
Way
sweet.
to set me up for failure. Well, the next one, we've got somebody way funnier than you.
All right, Chad, do you have any questions for us?
Oh, God. Kind of. But they're all like podcast questions.
That's perfect.
That's perfect. Ask away.
So I guess, like, what kicked you guys into starting this in the first place? Because as a towering narcissist, love hearing myself talk and making other people listen to me. So I guess, like, how did you fall into this? What made you sort of start this way? Has it, like, helped you guys do comedy as well? Or is it the type of thing where it eats up some of your time and then you're worried that one eats into the other too much?
Well, we first started, so we used to do moonlight bowling together. So we would call moonlight bowling and we would joke around with all the bowlers and stuff like that. And we had good chemistry there. And, like, we were friends, obviously, like, outside of that too. So we, like, had chemistry, and I was always I've always wanted to do stand up, and I was writing at that time. I just wasn't really performing. I was performing, like I said, very sporadically. And I wanted to do that, but then we were also like, after Moonlight Bowling, we're like, well, we should do something together. Like, we wanted to start a business, or we wanted something to do together. And so we're thinking, like, what could we do? And then we're just like, I think Bandy came up with the idea. He's like, hey, what if we, like, did a podcast together? I'm like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Like, so then we were thinking of ideas and what we could do, how we could do it for format and names and all this kind of stuff. And when we were coming up with a name for the podcast, I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't want to, like, take any of this seriously. I want it to, like, just do it for fun. And I want to be able to use my material if I want to. I want to be able to, but I don't want to, like, use all my material because I still obviously want people to come see a live show. But I can also get into stories because I don't do a lot of stories, and I can get personal because I don't get personal on stage. So, like, I felt like it was a way to get all of that out without, like, having to get it on stage right away. And then eventually I can listen to it and maybe come up with bits from it. But yeah, so we were coming up with the name, and I asked Bandy, I'm like, well, what do you think if we just did, like, something really dumb, like the stupidest podcast? Because then if somebody was, like, taking us seriously, they'd be like, oh yeah, well, where did you hear that? The stupidest podcast. Like, great. Like, you're trying to take, like, actual advice from a podcast called The Stupidest Podcast. Like, get out of here. Like, whatever. So, like, we can't get into trouble, really, because, like, you're taking, like, serious advice from somebody called The Stupidest Podcast.
You built an insurance policy right into the name of the podcast.
Exactly. So that's kind of the concept of the name. And then obviously, like, our format has changed here and there. Like, we did, like, the first 10 episodes was just him and me, and we just did questions the entire time. There was no really breaks or anything. And now when we do episodes, we have segments, we have questions at the beginning, we have segments, we have our dedications. We started with just lists of comedies, so it's just kind of our comedians. And it's just kind of evolved from there to what it is today.
And it's still evolving.
I was going to say it's going to keep evolving. Like,
I mean, that's like art in general. Like, it's not going to stop evolving. Like, if you stagnate, one, professionally you're dead, but two, you get bored.
Yeah.
You just don't want to be you don't want to be doing the same podcast. You don't want to be doing the same joke. You want it to be this point where you can do it all the things you want to do.
Yeah. And then it's also fresh for everybody that's listening. Like, we have a decent amount of listeners, and we want to make sure that everybody's entertained. Like, but we also like this. It's basically we're just chatting with friends, and we want everybody to be involved and included. And so, like, right now, like, while we're actually recording this, I never think of like people listening to this. I just feel like I want to be in the conversation. I don't want to get away from that, because then it's what's the point, you know?
Good answer.
So, yeah. Vandy dittos that answer.
Absolutely.
I guess
That's,
that when he went, good answer, didn't say anything, I was like, all right, that's a convenient way.
I'm usually the one that answers that question. He did good. So I liked it.
Well, I figured the host should maybe answer it once.
Here we go.
But then why didn't Vandy answer?
Exactly.
Oh, Chad's getting it
Boom.
on it. What the heck? I also forgot to tell you on the wristbands that I had to reorder for you, I put co-host on there.
Oh, I would kill you. I would kill you.
I mean, the best thing about that joke is those wristbands cost you like, what, 16 cents or something like that. So
Yeah,
you can get like 100 of them, and that's a good joke.
Yeah, but he'd still cry when I burned them.
Well, I mean, we got more than that. So I got two different ones for the podcast. So when they come out, we're going to have Roddy ones and we're going to have Vandy ones. And they both say the stupidest podcast. So then you can get one or the other. You get your Roddy ones from me and the Vandy ones from him. So that's how you're going to get the wristband.
Are you guys going to keep track of which one sells more so you guys can finally figure out who the actual fucking host is?
That would be interesting.
If you want to cry, again, if you want to cry about it, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but the way that we're doing it, we're not necessarily like selling them. So we're asking for a donation. So if you want to donate to the podcast, we will give you a wristband. So if you donate at least $1, you get a wristband. If you want more wristbands, donate more money. That's more than fine.
I mean, that's the way to do it, because then it can go to whatever you guys want it to. It can be to a good thing. But also because you're getting donations, it's proof of you as more charismatic and better getting donations from people. Yeah. So who would be the rightful host would be whoever could charm the most people out of donations.
Yeah. The donations do go to us, though. Like, we're not like
it goes to the
podcast. It goes to the podcast, so it's donating to the podcast so we can grow the podcast, so we can grow
better
more equipment, eventually get video and all that stuff. So it's donations to us.
I wonder how that works differently for tax purposes.
That we have to look into.
This is a weird conversation to have on the podcast.
What are taxes?
Talking about tax law.
I'm going to have you look into that for us right now.
I'm not a lawyer. We've been over this. And they didn't even do that on Law & Order. This is a bunch of murders.
All right. Any other questions?
Here's an SNL classic. If you were a hot dog, would you eat yourself?
Oh.
Heck yeah, I'm one fine piece of meat.
If I was a brat, yes.
You're not a brat. You're a hot dog.
I'm going to leave myself alone then, because I want to maintain my integrity. Most people are going to want to eat me. I know that. I'm more of a brat guy than a hot dog guy.
Most people are going to want to eat you.
Yeah. Well, just like normal. Like, no. Just kidding.
My answer to that has always been no, because like you're a hot dog, you don't have a fucking mouth. How are you going to eat anything?
Yeah, there you go.
Good answer.
Plus, do I have...
Again, this is why I don't get along with people.
Do I have ketchup or mustard or both?
What's on me? What am I wearing?
Yeah.
Can I... People hate this about me. When I ate meat, I put mayo on my hot dogs.
I've never tried that.
I loved it. But you get a weird look. Mostly because you've got a white fluid on top of a wiener. And
yeah, that makes sense.
That might tell people things about yourself you're not ready to tell them yet.
Yeah.
Like you like mayonnaise, and that's like third date conversation.
Yeah,
you don't lead with I prefer the taste of Hellman's mayonnaise.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you even tell them that you're Hellman's or the other brands of mayonnaise? Insert brand name here.
Or you could be like Miracle Whip people. Those are the worst. The only thing that's good about Miracle Whip is that it is usually cheaper than mayonnaise. Said when you're broke, you just got to go with what you got.
I did a lot of Miracle Whip as a kid.
I'm a
That's the
Miracle
great
Whip
thing
guy.
about like bulk shopping. Like when I go to Costco, they've got Miracle Whip, but they don't have mayo. I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to buy it in bulk. Is there something wrong with my brain? I'm just going to sit here with a jar of mayo and eat like fucking cake frosting and it's something your college all over again.
Mayo is really good. Like Hellman's mayo. Oh my gosh, I love it so much.
I used to put it on fries too.
I do that. I do that now.
No,
I do
yeah.
fries and ketchup, or fries and ketchup. Mayo and ketchup with my fries.
I've never done two condiments on it.
Oh really?
You know, because it just feels like mixing colors, and I'm not.
Oh yeah,
That
it becomes like a pink sauce.
Oh god. No. You remember when Heinz did the fucking where they would have like
the colored stuff, the colored
Yeah.
ketchups and colored
it wouldn't even
mustards.
be that because they for a while they did like the squeeze. It was like ketchup and mayo and like pre-mixed.
Oh
in a
no,
bottle.
I don't remember
They
that.
did that. They did it with mustard. They did it with like a few different other sauces where they had the
Yeah.
pre-mixed sauces like that and squirt bottles. And like
The only thing I liked about it was their label looked cooler.
Yeah.
It didn't look so
Well,
plain Jane.
it didn't. And the nice thing about that was that somebody in the marketing department got paid stupid amounts of money to come up with stupid names for these products. They all
Yeah.
got greenlit.
Yeah.
And it's just refreshing to you because like that's a job. That's a thing you could do professionally.
Mm-hmm.
Like McDonald's is coming out finally with a plant-based burger like Burger King has. You know what they're calling
Oh
it?
yeah. What?
The McPlant. That's the test name for it because that was the best they could come up with was McPlant.
The McPlant.
And I think they're making it because Burger King's got the Impossible Whopper,
Yeah.
so McDonald's with Beyond Meat. Like, why wouldn't you call it the Beyond Mac?
Yeah.
That's right there.
Yeah. That's.
I came up with that in like 17 seconds
Yeah.
after I read this article. Like, you're telling me a boardroom full of people, the best they can come up with is McPlant. It's crazy.
I'm not gonna buy a McPlant.
No.
I would definitely try the. Would you?
The Impossible Whopper?
Oh no, I know that.
Oh, the Beyond Mac?
Yeah, I would try
Oh,
the
yeah,
Beyond Mac
yeah.
for sure. I'm not gonna try the McPlant.
The McPlant? No. Because it sounds like you're going to hand me a potted plant that you
Yeah.
painted golden arches on and stuff a bunch of fries in the bottom.
Yeah. No.
I'll take out the fries, but I'm not keep the fucking plant.
Yeah, especially plants, because like people like. I'm not a vegetarian, but do you like just say like, oh yeah, I just eat plants? Like that's not something you say. You say, oh, I eat vegetables. I like this stuff.
I did have a friend I used to work with who described me being a vegetarian as the guy who ate all the food that his food ate.
Oh, okay.
Which I haven't come up with a funnier description than that.
Yeah.
But that's my job is I eat the food that your food eats.
Yeah.
And
But you wouldn't say like, yeah, I eat plants. Like that. I feel like when you say I eat plants.
no, you say I'm a vegetarian, and then people call you a vegan because they don't know the
Yeah.
difference. And
But like if you eat a plant, I think of flowers immediately.
God,
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like if you say like if you're gonna give me a McPlant, I'm gonna go McPlant it in my garden.
yeah. Or you
With the
go,
rest of my flowers.
or you go and you eat a banana, and then you tell people the bananas are berries, and it'll be like crazy because they are.
Yeah, they are
Yeah,
berries.
they are berries.
I knew that from Chad.
Yeah. My favorite thing about, because we talk about stupid shit I learn all the time. My favorite thing about banana plants is they're not trees, they're bushes. Because they don't have like a hard like trunk like trees do. And the cool thing about the plants is that they can walk. So when they plant bananas in plantations, they believe I think it's like 4 meters on either side of each row. Because the plants will shift, like uproot themselves and shift and can move up to like 4 meters over the course of their lifetime to like move closer to like more nutrient rich or watered parts of soil,
Yeah.
basically.
That's crazy.
It's super.
Dang.
And then McDonald's French fries did not used to be vegetarian
Mm.
because before they fried them in vegetable oil like they do now, they used to fry them in beef tallow.
Hmm.
So, and like they used to apparently taste a lot better. It was like back in the 70s until somebody in Congress thought that frying them in beef tallow was bad for people's cholesterol. So they started a campaign to get McDonald's to switch to vegetable oil. And not
'Cause he has
only did it taste worse, it turned out frying them in vegetable oil was worse for people's cholesterol than frying them in beef tallow. They'd have been better off not. Like now, a lot of them doing like peanut and canola oil,
Yeah.
and that's better than both. But at the time, they'd have been better off sticking with the beef tallow because it was better for you.
Wow. That's nuts.
Yeah. This is what I do with my spare time. I just absorb all this random bullshit and go, maybe it'll be useful someday.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you could use some of it on stage, like.
Yeah, it turns out no. People, you do that for 2 seconds, people are like, were you watching too much QI again? I'm like, yeah, I was.
That's funny.
All right. Do you have any other hobbies outside of comedy that you feel might help with comedy?
No, because my main other hobby is video games. There's a lot of sitting around and doing nothing, which is the antithesis of going out and doing things so you have things to joke about. Like, literally, the last thing I've done in the last 2 months that hasn't been comedy or play video games is, have you ever been to Bentleyville since you moved here? Oh, yeah. I love that. I go every year because I hate Christmas, but I love Christmas decorations, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, we're literally, I still haven't taken my Christmas village down as we're recording this, and it's in the background.
Yeah, you can probably see it, Vandy. You can see the tree behind us, but here I'm gonna move real quick, and I'm gonna show you.
Okay.
This is literally one of the
I
things
can see it. Yeah, behind. Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, because I have been collecting like Christmas village decorations, and I built all the tables and everything that that's built on. So that's, I guess, woodworking is another hobby. Which the weirdest thing to me was I was having a conversation with a buddy I gamed with, and we stopped playing video games to talk about table saws and woodworking for like 2.5 hours. And I'm like, this is what being in your 30s is like. And I remember when I was a kid, I thought it'd be like fighting dinosaurs in space, and I'm talking about power tools. And I'm trying to figure out at what point in my life did I let my inner child down.
Well, you said that was in your state. That was it? Cincinnati had something about Jesus riding a.
Oh, they have a creationist museum.
Oh, okay.
It's exactly what it sounds like. And fuck if I've tried to mine that for comedic premise. And every time I think about it, I just get angry that those people are allowed to vote. And, like, we won't get into too much of this, but because I'm not a religious person or anything. I have jokes on stage about being an atheist. I'm an agnostic. But one, most people don't know the difference, and two, atheists are funnier. So you can say that. But it's like, there are religious people I respect and religious people that I don't.
Yeah.
And the ones that don't are unfortunately the loud ones. Which gives, like, I've got a very religious, very Catholic friend who I've had very, like, serious arguments about, like, metaphysical things like transubstantiation with. He's a nuclear engineer, absolutely brilliant person. I don't begrudge him his beliefs at all. The problem is that there's people out there who think Jesus was a dinosaur that are giving him a bad name, and that drives me insane. Because those people should have participated in democracy. But they get to in large numbers, and it's terrifying. But anyway, talking about Bentleyville, I went there, and a premise I've been trying to work on, I can't figure out, was they have, like, wishing wells there for donations. And they had a sign on the one this year that said, you could Venmo in money for a wish. I'm like, right, what kind of magical ass bullshit is this?
Yeah.
Like, kudos to the wish-granting beings of the universe. They're getting on the technology train. But where are you at in your life where you don't have change in your pocket, but you're going to Venmo a $5 to a wishing well to wish for something?
Yeah. Like,
that's a thing that people do. And I went there. I probably stood by this thing for like 20 minutes because I was trying to warm up by like a fire pit. Of course, nobody does it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you saw kids tossing coins in because that's what that's for.
Yeah.
You didn't see an adult pull out a smartphone, scan a QR code, and send $20 in and go, I hope I get this promotion. Like, no. Who's that for?
Do you have to text in your wish too then?
Yeah. Could you put it in like you're Venmoing anybody else? You like put it in the description.
Oh, man.
Which at that point, just like have a thing at the front gate, like if you want to donate something, Venmo it. Don't tell me that there's a leprechaun checking his phone somewhere, working in the off season because it's Christmas and they got the leprechauns fucking working the wishing wells.
Yeah. And how awkward is that if you're on a date? You're on a date with this girl and you're Venmoing it and you're saying, I just want to get laid tonight.
Oh, God. See, people like that exist. You know for a fact there's a guy out there.
Oh, yeah.
And his existence makes me feel great by comparison. Like, you see those people who do the dumbest shit you've ever seen, and you're like, I feel great now. And then you remember, again, that those people are allowed to vote. And
and then you also realize that guy probably did get laid.
He probably did, yeah. But then who does that say more about at that point?
Yeah.
I'd be the guy that had a change machine by the well, and you could swipe your credit card. And it costs you $1 to swipe it, but you only get a quarter.
Oh, there you go.
But still, that seems less crazy to me than the Venmo thing.
Yeah.
That really
because then you get a physical thing. Yeah, and I would do that. I think, before the Venmo thing.
Yeah, well, because like half the reason people use wishing well is like the nostalgia charm of it. Like you're tossing a coin into it, it's like got a sentimental gesture attached to it, which again, technology has removed from all of interactions. Hurrah, capital fascism. That's not a word. Why did I say that? Oh God, it's the stupidest podcast thing.
It is.
It's bringing me down to your level.
Yeah.
We suck people in. We suck people into our level.
It's working. I could see the brand building.
My bad.
No, I'm more impressed than I am angry. Kudos to you.
That's funny.
You've got a brand and you've sold it.
Yeah.
It works.
It does.
What is your favorite part about doing comedy, and what is your biggest fear?
My favorite part about doing comedy is that I'm usually the one to do it.
There you go.
Yeah, that's supposed to be a joke. Oh God. My favorite part. I mean, it's got to be when people laugh, right? Because you get that hit of dopamine that everybody chases, right?
Yeah.
But it's that sense of validation you get when you've thought something is funny, you've found the way to convey that humor to other people, and they get it. Like you have a genuine moment of connection with people that you don't know because you found this common ground to laugh at. And those moments, I think, are really what it's all about, right? Like, again, as much as I love the sound of my own voice and I love, like, just being on stage and forcing people to listen to me because what else are you going to do with your time? It's that those brief moments of connection, or like when you get off stage. And I remember the first like professional show that I ever actually hosted. I got called in as last minute because the regular host couldn't make it, and I got to host for Dusty Slay and Aaron Weber, who they're some of the funniest human beings I've ever met. But we were standing around after the first show, and they were talking about how people up here weren't laughing, and then came up to them after the show and how much I loved it, or they loved it.
Yeah.
And I go, well, no, again, it's Minnesota. That's what they do up here. And yes, it's frustrating, but no, if they came up to you and like they were hugging people, telling them, like, I had people coming over to the show telling me that I was the best host I'd ever seen there. I rode that high for a couple of days because that was great. But then, like, we went into the second show and they had that mentality to it. And of course, they knocked it. Like, they did great both times. But the second, once they were used to the way people up here reacted to them and the kinds of laughs you got and where you got them, you could tell they were professionals. It's fucking Sean. And I mean, they're absolutely, like, some of the funniest human beings I've ever met. And it was, again, nice to, like, be at a show like that and have them, like, the shows were done at 10 o'clock, and I don't think we left Dublin's until midnight. We weren't even drinking. We were just sitting in the showroom shooting the shit for a couple hours.
That's cool.
But everything, so you know how Dublin's in that room, they have all these photos of comedians there. So we've got some of us that we snuck up on the wall.
Yeah.
And so Dusty looks at all these photos and he sees mine up there. And he's like, well, how do you get on the wall? I'm like, well, really all we did was we just put them on the walls. Nobody told us to take them down. So he pulls a headshot out and he autographs it. And you can still go in there and see it because they haven't taken it down. He shoves it into the door jamb at the top of the door leading into the room. It's like, there on the wall now. It's been, I think that show was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow.
It's still there. Nobody's taken it down.
That's awesome.
It's super cool. But it's like you get to meet people, like not just comedians like that, but you meet people in the audience who are just, they're fascinated by the things you say. You have a great conversation with these people. And yeah, you'll probably never see a lot of these people again, but just, you have those brief moments of connection with people that you don't have in our, ironically, you don't have in our interconnected world anymore because people have these like technological distance buffers between them. So when you have these organic, natural moments, they're just super satisfying.
Yeah.
I do not remember the other half of your question.
The other half was, what is your biggest fear?
Oh, dogs. Terrified of dogs.
Oh.
I have cynophobia, which is the fear of dogs. It's the fifth most common fear in the world, but is the most treated phobia in the world. Affects on average 1 in 4 men and 1 in 3 women. No, that's arachnophobia. Sorry, those numbers are for arachnophobia.
What is your biggest fear in comedy?
Oh, if somebody brings a dog on stage.
I did want to just hear this. I was going to ask that too, but I just wanted to see
how far I was going to go. Phobias are one of my favorite things to talk about because I think the words for phobias are super cool. Like my favorite phobia words, one I can't pronounce anymore because every time I talk about it, I think it's arachibutyrophobia, which is the fear of having food stuck to the roof of your mouth.
Oh, dang.
That affects people who have peanut allergies more often than not because they're afraid of having peanut butter stuck up there. That's a sensation that they get because they're like, oh, there's something stuck to my roof and it might kill me. But my favorite phobia word is electorophobia. Do you know what that's the fear of?
Electricity?
Chickens.
What?
Electo is the Greek word for rooster, so it's the fear of chickens. Yeah. My fear, my performance-wise, I think my biggest fear would be bombing and then never getting back on stage, which I got close to like back when I first started. But it's like you can't be afraid of things while you're doing. Like you're gonna bomb. It's one of the first lessons that any music they comedy seriously has to learn. So you just accept that as part of the territory and you move on.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like sometimes you're gonna bomb with your best material. Like sense of humor are not universal.
Mm-hmm.
I could do a half hour of stuff that is killed in every other room I've been in, and there's a non-zero chance that I'll go into a room and somebody will hate all of it. And yeah, that's gonna suck, but I gotta get back on the horse. I gotta do it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, my biggest fear would probably be because it's happened in open mics where people have brought dogs and don't keep an eye on them and they get on the stage and like.
Wow.
A job I used to work at, I worked at like a front counter, and it was like in a service station, so I was working at a parts counter, and there was service at the lobby, and somebody was having their car in for service, and they had a dog, but they had let go of the dog's leash. So I'm sitting, helping somebody at my desk, and I turn, and there's this dog behind my desk, out of fucking nowhere. I like fell off my stool, like screamed, "Whose dog is this?" Because I had no idea there was a dog in the building. And of course the woman gets mad. She's like, "Why are you screaming at my dog?" And to her credit, the woman who worked at the service counter went, "Well, there's a reason there's leash laws in this city. Why aren't you out keeping an eye on your dog?"
Yeah.
Thanks for having my back.
Yeah.
That was really cool. But yeah, it used to be a lot worse. Like I used to, like when I had a job working in regular retail and stocking shelves, like if people would bring dogs into the store, I would climb ladders to get on top of shelves until the dog left the building.
Dang. Interesting. Yeah.
It absolutely terrifies me.
Well, I'm really glad that we decided to do the episode here because there's two dogs that I'm dog sitting right now.
Yeah, I would have bailed on you 100%.
Yeah.
One of the worst moments of my character is this girl I was dating for a long time. We were going to a friend's of hers house for a game night, and she neglected to tell me that her friend had two Great Danes.
Oh, geez, not just little dogs.
Two Great Danes that each had like big ass fucking brain tumors.
Wow.
So not only are these giant dogs, these are giant dogs with crazy looking lesions on their heads, right?
Dang.
So we go into the front door. These dogs come barreling down the stairs straight at us. I bolted out the front door, closed it behind me, got in my car, and left her there. I just straight up drove off.
Dang.
And, like she had to call me back. Like it took me 20 minutes to work up the nerve to drive back there
to get her.
Well, we ended up staying because they ended up like putting
okay,
in the
yeah.
basement. Like we stayed for the evening and actually salvaged the evening out of it.
Right.
It was like I was absolutely terrified, and I wasn't thinking until because this was like way out in Park Point, so I was halfway across the lift bridge before I had finally calmed down.
Wow, that's a ways.
Yeah, I'm not my highlight as a human being, but that's what phobias do to people. They're not rational. You just shut down and stop thinking.
Were you bit as a kid or something, or?
I was. I did get, but I was scared of them before I got bit. So I think it was like 5 or 6. It was the second dog my parents had. It was like some fucking border collie mutt. And of course, they need to herd stuff. We don't have sheep, so we tried to herd kids. So when she would let this dog out of the kennel to like run around, the first thing it would do was chase me. So like I would be like climbing trees, and it got me on the ankle once. But like even before then, like I wanted nothing to do with this dog. I was absolutely terrified.
Really glad that we were able to get through that part of the show, though. One of my fears is talking about people's fears.
I do have a funny story about a dog, if that's in any way to
Yeah, let's do it.
It's one of those stories that I've tried to turn into a joke, and I can't find a punchline.
Okay.
So
that's what the podcast is for.
I had a retail job in a mall. I was working at like a sunglass kiosk. This was years ago before I bought the house. And working on Sunday, this woman's walking her dog by. It's like like one of those lassie dogs. I forget what they're called.
Okay, I'm not good with dog food.
Right. So this dog, it's got like brown fur on the top, and they normally have white fur. Well, the white part, this woman had dyed purple, and this dog had dog Crocs on. Also, dog Crocs are a thing. I don't know if you knew that. They make Crocs for dogs.
Interesting. Okay.
So she's walking this dog through the mall past the kiosk, and immediately this dog starts shitting all over the floor.
Yeah.
Like a river of liquid dog shit.
Ugh.
Like, this was a sick dog.
Yeah.
This woman does not stop to clean this up. She keeps going. So I look at the lady who was working the front counter of the store across the hall from me. Because I don't know if you ever had like a cheap retail job. That's not in the handbook. You're not.
Yeah.
They don't cover. They don't cover what to do when there's a river of dog diarrhea at your storefront. So we were trying to figure out, like, do we call maintenance or security? Like, who do we call? As we're trying to figure this out, this woman is walking from the other direction on her phone. She's got like this gorgeous black dress on, like Prada handbag. Like, her outfit costs more than my car, right?
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't see it.
Oh no.
She doesn't just step in it, right? But like steps, and because she's wearing like heels with no traction,
Slips,
like,
falls, rolls in it.
slips, falls, slides through it, covers her entire dress in this river of dog shit. And I think the funniest thing and the most frustrating thing at the same time is I have a punchline for that. Like, you see something that ridiculous happen in real life, and you know as a comedian you've got a yes and you got to find your feet. Where the fuck do you go from there? Like, you gotta go to space now. Like, there's nowhere on Earth to make that funnier than the thing that actually happened in front of me.
Oh my god, I can't imagine seeing that. That would be I would feel so bad for her, but I would definitely laugh.
Oh no, I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
Like, part of that's karma. Like, you somebody who is at a fucking mall dressed like that. Like, why did you do that in the first place? You're just trying to brag to people. Mm-hmm. So this is cosmically funny to me. But again, like, it's a true story, 100%. So how do you
go from there?
Where do you go?
Yeah.
I can't stand those girls that do that. And then, like at an amusement park, you'll see a woman with high heels at an amusement park. You're walking all day. That's the freaking shoes you pick?
What do you?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't either. So
I think it was the immortal bard William Shakespeare, though, who did once say, "Bitches be tripping." So
bitches be sliding.
Can I be honest? That's my favorite joke, and I will never stop telling it.
Bitches be sliding on dog diarrhea.
All right, this is a perfect. What is your biggest regret in comedy in your comedy career so far?
Oh God, probably that I don't have a punchline for that joke. Right? There was the one time I used to have a joke about going to a physical, and of course I sit down and the first thing you do is take your blood pressure, and the nurse goes, "Hold on, I have to go get the fat guy on the band," which is never how you want to start that. But then it gets to the point where, like, she had me run up a bunch of stairs. I'm like, what am I doing, a training montage? And what I used to do is pull out my phone, do the Rocky theme, like just enough so I wouldn't get sued, and then pantomime running on the stage. So I do this at a show that I'm headlining, like a local show, and the stage was made of plywood. And it turns out when you weigh 300 pounds and you're stomping your feet on plywood, it doesn't go through the floor. Oh. So I put my foot through the floor on this stage, which visually is hilarious and a great, like, conveniently where that joke stopped.
Yeah.
Because it was a perfect ending to a joke about a fat guy getting physical when I literally break the thing I'm standing on.
Yeah.
But it's at the time, I'm like, I have to swallow this feeling of disgust and just get through the rest of the show. But if I've got any comedy regrets, it's like small things like that, right? Because I've been fortunate enough I haven't had a lot of opportunities, but I've been able to seize the ones that I've been given. What's really nice about the scene in Duluth that I have heard is not the case in other places is that it's a really supportive scene where, like, the comedians want to see each other grow artistically. So it's nice to have that. It's nice to be doing it here. It is bad to be doing it here to, like, branch out professionally because, one, we don't have a lot of venues up here, and two, you're not getting exposure to agencies and things like that. Mm-hmm. So that's a problem for it. But just being able to develop the art of it and just, like, have this community of people who's all dedicated to making this place funnier and growing the scene, it's a real sense of both artistic pride and community that is super valuable. So we've been really lucky to have that here. And then it's just a matter of taking the time and energy to go forward from there and do what we can.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Like the scene is amazing. Like,
and it is again better now than it was before COVID.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is we have people in the scene that weren't in it before. There's quite a few people here, even like, unfortunately, a couple of them have moved down back to the cities from here, but still, like, people have been doing this for less than a year. It seems absolutely talented people spring up and contribute to this community. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, like, they go to the cities, but they are still going to be up here quite a bit.
Oh, and I have them up here all the time because they're talented people who are, I think, the kind of people that should be doing comedy. They're doing it for the art of it. They're doing it because they love it. And that's not to say that, like, in more competitive markets, those people aren't doing that. But from rumors I've heard and haven't had a lot of experience with, you in more populated markets, like, you're competing for time. Like, you might have an open mic where there's 25 spots and you go every week and you go on for months.
Yeah.
So, and I get that kind of makes you bitter, and that sucks. It really does.
Yeah.
And luckily, we don't have that problem up here because we've got at most 20 people who show up to an open mic comedy. So you've always got time. So nobody's been really cast out and bitter like that. So if I have a regret in comedy, it's that it's not where I want it to be in the Twin Ports yet.
Okay.
But it's taking steps that way that it's never taken before. So I am cautiously optimistic about how things are going to go up here.
Which is great because, like, I'm really glad that I ended up getting in the scene when I did because, like you said.
Like, you nailed the timing on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really glad to be a part of it now, and I want to be a part of the growth too. Like, I want to see everybody grow. Like, I love it. Everybody in the scene is incredible. So and everybody's.
Well, not everybody, but.
Well, everybody's contributions though, like, whether it be just performing or getting these shows going or anything, like every you can tell that there's more than just the wanting to be on stage. Like, everybody's willing to do extra work too.
Right. Well, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because people are willing to do extra work so they have more exposure, so they can do more work so they can have more exposure.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't say that it's completely altruistic. Like, obviously, like, yeah, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't want more opportunities to perform.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have people that are willing to work together rather than compete with each other.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is really nice to see.
I like the way you put that.
I do have a way with words.
Yeah.
That's literally what I went to school for.
Yeah, you're good with words.
Yeah, I spent 6 years getting 2 degrees and sounding very impressive to people.
Yeah. And that's why we have you on this.
As long as you don't think about the fact that upstairs in my office there's a piece of paper and a mahogany frame that costs more than the house it's sitting in.
Yeah.
Don't think about that part. But
yeah,
the rest of it.
It's an expensive piece of paper. I got it.
And you can't sell it for shit. Yeah, it's like, I got 2. That's the worst part.
Oh.
Because I got a bachelor's and a master's.
Yeah. I only have the BS degree.
Is that actually a Bachelor of Sciences?
Yeah. Marketing.
Hold on. Marketing is a science.
That's what it says.
And soft science bullshit. That's like saying sociology is a science. Yeah, I'm going to do sociology now. That's what.
It's a study. I mean,
kind of
study the brain.
Yeah.
No, that's psychology.
That's psych.
That's not even. That's at least profitable because my friends that have psych degrees. Well, one of them's a therapist. The other one's a blackjack dealer. But, flip that coin.
No, that's cards.
You motherfucker.
You said you got away with words. I
stick by my own petard.
I had to say it.
It's good. Again, if we were giving out points, I'd be giving them to myself, but it's not my show, so I can't do that.
I'll give you points. And then I get some points for that last one that I did.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We don't, the points, it's kind of like whose line is it anyways?
I didn't want to mention it. That feels
Yeah, the points don't matter here.
Plus, every time I mention them, within some of the points, Ryan Stiles and Colin Lockyer.
Yeah, they have more points than all of us.
Well, we don't have the points for that.
Yeah. No, they get 80% of our points.
You gonna give Vandy any points?
You better.
No, this is the part where you say that you're the host and you give out the points.
Well, it's funny because like I want to give the co-host points, but I just feel like it's a hacky thing to. He's so mad.
You'll learn. You'll learn.
I did as a gag it admittedly didn't go over well, but I thought it was funny. In one of the trivia shows I did, I ended up saying something that turned out to be false because somebody fact checked me on it live.
Ooh.
So I took points away from myself, and I came. There were 4 comedians on stage. I came second out of 6
Dang, that's not bad.
because the audience had beat 3 of the comedians.
That's funny. All right. So my next question is, have you ever bombed? If so, what did you learn from the experience?
Yes. I think any comedian who tells you they've never bombed is lying to you, 100%.
Or they haven't been doing it long enough.
Oh yeah, or they did it once and then never went back on
Yeah,
stage, and they're
exactly.
only technically correct. God. I've learned not to dwell in it, right? Because if you do that, you need to think about it, but don't live in it. Because
Yeah.
then you get stuck in your own head, and then you get terrified to go back up there, so you've got to get over it. You'll learn that certain jokes are never funny. There was one joke I wrote really early on that was like kind of racy, and I don't even remember the joke anymore because it not only got no laughs, but one guy in the crowd literally said, "Yeah, maybe don't tell that one again."
Oh yeah.
So I took that to heart. I'm like, all right, that is a good note.
Yeah.
If nobody likes this and you're like, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. If he like felt the inclination to say that heckle.
Yeah. That it was so much evidence that joke was bad that the joke itself has vacated my brain, and now I only know the story about the joke. But now it's like that Tenacious D problem where they write tribute but can't remember what the song tribute is about. Like I remember why I don't tell this joke, but I don't remember what the joke is.
Yeah. Did I tell you my Tenacious D joke?
No, I don't think I've heard that one.
Oh really? Dude, it's the greatest Tenacious D joke.
Oh, damn it! No, you don't remember it, do you?
I don't remember it. This is just a tribute.
It's not even a joke. You just did 80% of the song.
I did.
You changed 2 words.
Well, it's still a joke.
I want you to be wrong.
In this context, it is very clear that I stole 80% of it. But when I do it on stage, it's funny sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes I got a good laugh out of it once for sure. Mandy's just laughing at me.
He's laughing at the idea of someone laughing at you.
Yeah, exactly. He gets it. All right. Would you consider yourself a funny person off stage?
Mostly because I'm not a different person off stage, which is a convenient thing for me. I am one of those people who, when I'm on stage, I feel like a more authentic person than when I'm having. Mostly because I spent way too long in my life working in retail, so you are professionally obligated to be a fake person.
Yeah.
Like, and not like super, like not trying to like rip people off and sell them. It's more like you have to have a certain veneer on all the time. Like you can't run around a parts store screaming fuckity fuckity fuck fuck fuck.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You got to wait till they leave and then you tell them you're stupid.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
I will tell every person right now, if you've ever been into any retail environment and thought for a second you knew more than the people working there, just go home. You don't. There's a reason that they're employed there and you're not.
Yeah.
It drives me up the wall. So I used to work in an automotive parts store, right? I mean, this guy came in once, and he said he needed an oil filter for his Jeep. And the guy working the counter asked him what kind of Jeep he had. And he said, they're all the same. It doesn't matter. The guy at the counter went, well, I don't know if you've seen our oil filter wall. There's 200 on there. Can you tell me what kind of Jeep you have so I can get you the right filter? Like, you can pick a brand or whatever. I just need to know the right number to get you. And the guy was just adamant. So he went back to the wall, grabbed a random filter, bought it, and left. It was wrong. So he did this 5 more times in the same day. Came back, screamed that they had sold him the wrong filter. And the guy at the counter, by the 3rd time, like the manager got involved, said, no, you grabbed the wrong filter because you won't tell us what kind of vehicle you have. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, if it didn't matter, we wouldn't have jobs. There would just be a box that said filters. You would grab one, put money in a machine, and
Yeah.
like, there's a reason in specialized retail trades you have setups like that. So by the sixth time, he's like, you've got two options. You can tell me what you have. I will just give you a filter for it so I never have to see you again, or you can turn around and leave. And the guy just left because he
Wow.
wouldn't tell. Like, and it's like, I don't need like your license plate number
Yeah.
and like your social security. Like, just tell me what year your Jeep is.
That's so dumb.
It's so dumb.
We should have him on the stupidest podcast.
He'd fit.
I think he's too stupid for you.
Yeah.
Like, he'd be competition. That'd be a real problem.
He'd bring us up though.
Yeah. He'd bring us back to where we need to be.
You need him on to balance out the episode where I start talking about bananas randomly.
It's easy to bring somebody up. It's hard to drag them down, especially when they got master's degrees.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're doing a good job, to your credit. I've invented 3 words that don't mean anything tonight, so.
We're getting there.
Well, we're doing our jobs then.
Right.
Yeah. All right. What is the most memorable night of comedy for you? Could be good, could be bad. Memorable.
It's got to be the story about the open mic I did just for that married couple. Because it just resounds so heavily in my head that, one, I was only like 2.5 years in my career, so that I could do an hour of material and not. Well, I mean, obviously you eat it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're digging into the bad jokes at that point.
Yeah.
But to power through like that, it meant to me a lot that they said they liked it, and I like to think that they do, because otherwise it's a bad story. Or like the very first show I got to host professionally. That was like a lot of the firsts you do, I think they just do, because they all resound for different reasons. They just like they call the things that you find out about yourself that you didn't know that you could do, or like really powerful connections you make with people. So yeah, just any moment like that, really, where you sit down, and I've talked about a bunch of Moravia, you sit down, like even like 2-3 days later, you're sitting down thinking about how great that show was.
Mm-hmm.
Anything like that, it's you're not gonna forget it.
Yeah. I love those shows, especially. I obviously do remember like the bomb shows too. Like you learn from those ones more. But yeah, I do like to reminisce about the shows that went well or the firsts.
Well, you remember the details. I mean, like when you think about a show that you bombed, you're just thinking about yourself and like what didn't go well and what you think about like the personal shortcomings you had in that evening. But when you think about a moment that goes well, I feel like I tend to remember like some of the people in the audience that were there, like what they look like, or the people I was performing with, or when I'm having those good nights, like I know that I did well, and it was like you remember those other people who got to share those moments with you.
Like that, yeah, that's actually a really good point, because like now I'm trying to like go back to a night that I feel like I bombed. I don't remember the specific details for the most part. Like I do remember some of the details, like about me, like,
right,
because I was focused on what I did wrong. And yeah, but when you're thinking about like the good nights, like you remember some of the audience members, you remember your fellow comedians that were there, like you remember a lot more of the other outside of you.
Well, and like people like tend to reinforce a lot of their own negative like thoughts and feelings, right? There was a super interesting study about Olympic athletes that they did, where silver medal winners tended to report higher levels of disappointment and depression than bronze medal winners. Because if you won the silver medal, you look at the guy who won and you look at all your shortcomings compared to the winner. But when you win the bronze medal, your first thought was, look at all these people that I beat that didn't medal. And so you reflect on what well in your performance, and you tend to have higher levels of self-esteem because of it. And they found it like across sports, it tended to be true.
Wow. Kind of makes sense though, like.
And then the gold medal winners were just dickheads.
Dang, that's interesting. That is a good. Like, I'm glad they did that study, because that is like, if I won silver, I would feel that way compared to bronze.
Oh, the studies you read about the things they learn from people. I got to do a quick ethics plug because I spent so many years studying it. I have to. But have you ever heard of the trolley problem?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a super common thing where like you're in a booth and there's a trolley hurling down a track towards 5 people. You pull the lever, you can divert it to one person. Do you pull it? And there's a lot of interesting theory behind it, but that's not the coolest part. I think it was 2011, people at the University of Michigan did a study where they asked a bunch of people the trolley problem, and then had them come back a week later and put on a VR headset. And there would be a joystick hooked up to the VR headset, and there'd be a simulation of a trolley going towards 5 people, and if you pulled the lever, you divert it. And they found that 30% of the people who said the week before they would pull the lever didn't pull it when they were actually faced with the situation.
Oh,
So
wow.
people's like theoretical, this like how we should behave differs from what they actually do when they have to make a panic decision.
Interesting. Huh. I mean, I would love to be a part of that too, because I want to see what I would do. Like, 'cause I know that, like, in theory, like you said, like, I think I would pull it.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of not popular opinions professionally about this, but yeah, I like theoretically, I would pull the lever. There's a version where you push the fat man. I push the fat man. Like I think that's what you do, but I would love to see what I would actually do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go, again, this is why I'm not allowed to do science, is that you go, well, why don't I get 6 people in a trolley and then just do it? Yeah. And then somebody goes, let's just do a VR machine. I'm like,
that makes sense.
Because I mean, if you're doing a study, you got to repeat it. So I'm like, I got to get 100 volunteers, which means I got to get 600 victims. And where am I going to find 100 different trolleys?
Now
How am I going to avoid the lawyer for this?
Yeah. Do you want to sign this victim sheet? I mean, participation sheet.
Now you're starting to think like the stupidest podcast.
So. What is the most number of people that somebody's talking about kidnapping on your podcast? Because I think I'm already at 700.
Well, we did have Joe on.
Yeah, we had Joe on. Patrick was on.
Joe's not going to talk about kidnapping people. He's going to steal their stuff for drug money or something.
Patrick was on though, so he talked. He talked about other stuff. I don't know if he
talked about having a van outside of a little kid's
school.
Oh
yeah.
Did you have him on before or after the show we did in Brainerd? Because I know you've heard the story about the show he did there, right?
A little bit of it.
It's not my story to tell because it's not as funny and it is not a good story. So.
Okay. We'll have Patrick.
Well, it's not a good story because it's about his mom, and I'm not going to throw her under the bus. That's his job. But it is one of the funniest real life moments I've ever experienced my entire life was to be in that room for the conversation that happened after that show. And it was so good. Like now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm not going to talk about it because it's not mine to tell.
Okay. We'll have to talk to Patrick.
No, have him on again.
Yeah.
Don't tell him I told. Oh,
yeah.
Fuck, he might listen to
this. He's probably going to listen, yeah.
Patrick, I'm sorry.
now
I got story. It's really good.
Now I got to message him because I got to know this story.
Yeah.
It's so good.
If you message him, message it so I can also get it if he's...
the only other thing I'll say about it is since it happened, there was conversations that fall out after that make it funnier.
Oh, okay.
And so now, the farther away I get from it, the more I laugh.
Nice. I'm gonna have to ask.
Fucking kill
me. Yeah, I'll message him in the messenger with the group.
We should have him do a video of that story so we can post it.
He gets so red in the face though, every time he tries to tell it. And I feel really bad because not only did it happen, we rode down there together, so a 2.5 hour drive back.
Okay, so he had that.
Every 10 minutes, I just look at him and I bring it up, and I couldn't not do it. I felt so bad, but it was just so fucking funny.
Yeah. I'm excited now.
Oh yeah. Seriously, I'll come back too. We'll do it again because I mostly I just want to hear it again. It's fun for me.
Yeah. I'll make sure you're around.
Oh yeah.
All right, where's the coolest place you've ever performed?
Oh, that's a good question. So I haven't had the opportunity to perform in a lot of really exciting places. I've been mostly local. It was cool to do Danbury back when I did it. Issues with the venue aside, it was really interesting because it was just so far afield from where I normally performed that it felt different.
What do you mean different? It felt like you were almost doing comedy on a vacation, or what do you mean?
Kinda, yeah. It was the type of thing we would go and we would hit the buffet beforehand and we would just chill out for a while. And it didn't feel like we made more of a trip out of it than a show.
Okay.
Because usually one person would feature, but we'd get 2 or 3 guest spots. So we'd get a car full of comics and we'd drive down. And you're driving through bumfuck Wisconsin, which is a lot like driving through Children of the Corn. Because there's fog that constantly rolls in. Like, you drive south through Wisconsin, and it's really low, flat ground, but there's fog everywhere with just random houses in the middle of it. And you're like, but none of it's on the road. The road is perfectly clear. All the fog is like around these houses. Yeah. So like, motherfuckers are gonna come out with an axe and they don't know where. So it's a surreal drive there. Then you're just like in a casino, being in a casino.
Yeah.
Then you're doing a comedy show at 8 drunk people in a casino lounge. Then you drive back through Children of the Corn to get home. And it's just this really, it was this surreal. They don't do it out there anymore. Which is like ever since COVID, they haven't done it out there. But
maybe we'll have to reach out and try to see if we can do something.
They do something because they used to do it on Thursdays.
Okay.
Because now we've got the double.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Well, but you could snag like 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
But I mean, the bigger issue would be, I know they're doing something else then, but I don't know what it is.
I got that.
And it probably is drawing more than 8 people on average. So.
Yeah.
And again, it wasn't a bad room to do. It was a fun room to do. I didn't like some of the things the venue had set up there. But they did have, by far, the chillest sound guy I've ever met in my entire life. He looked like a really young version of Tommy Chong's character from that 70s show.
Nice.
And I think Mike was the guy's name. He was one of the chillest human beings I've ever met in my entire life. He was really cool to work with. But a lot of the other features of that venue I didn't care for. But sometimes you meet one person that's chill enough that it's worth putting in the rest of the bullshit.
Yeah.
And he was pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, you'd run into people like that everywhere. And,
yeah.
Like at work, like I have some coworkers like that. Like I would never really want to leave because I would miss the coworkers.
I've done a couple shows in, there used to be a coffee shop on Morgan Park and Mug. It's where we do all our charity shows. And the venue was odd because you were in the front area of a coffee shop, but he had like lights and a sound system all set up. And you were again performing for this because it was like in a really tight knit neighborhood, but that was when you'd get 30, 40 people in.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The place was packed. And it was a really cool room to do with a bunch of people. Like I booked somebody there to do a feature spot once. This was before COVID. He moved out of Minneapolis. His name is Dustin. He went by Punch. And the great thing about Punch was
the name sounds familiar.
You might know him from down there, but he does the best crowd work I've ever seen in my entire life. To the point where I was confident booking him for 20 minutes, knowing he'd do about 18 minutes of crowd work.
Dang.
Yeah, and he had one joke he'd always start on, one joke he'd always end on, a handful of bit, and then the rest of it he would just like ask the people random shit in the crowd and yes and it. And the man was an artist. He could make anything funny. And it was just the way he preferred to do it. Because he thought it got the audience engaged, and it really did. Like, I had people telling me that he was the best feature I ever had there. Because his presence is so organic that you saw him interact with people. And like, even if they said something he didn't like, his reaction to it was real. Sometimes it was volatile, but it was volatile in a funny way and it was real. And he could always win people back from whatever he did.
That's cool.
Because he had like these handful of jokes that he's like, I know these jokes work no matter what.
Yeah.
So this is how I win people back and then go back to what I do. He was absolutely brilliant.
That's cool.
He was really cool. Yeah. He was one of my favorite people to have up here. I was really bummed when he moved to the cities, but again, you get opportunities and you take them.
Yeah. Dang, that sounds fun.
Oh, it's a blast. Worst part about that place is that I don't drink coffee. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do?
Yeah. Where would you do a special if given the opportunity?
Oh, God, not Ohio. It would have to be somewhere because there are people in Ohio that would love to see do my set. So it would have to be somewhere that I could like bring them to. So my family has never seen me do stand up. I have it my way. It will be that way until they are all dead.
But you're still gonna do your set like while they're dead.
I might do it at the funeral. That might be funny. Like there was one time my parents came up for a visit, and we went to the 2 open mics that were there, the week that they were there, and both times no comics showed up, so we didn't do a show. So they never saw any of my jokes the one time they were up here, which in retrospect I am fine with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't do a show. It's not that I wouldn't do a show in Ohio. I wouldn't do a special in Ohio. Right?
Yeah.
If I do a show in Ohio, it's going to be at least far enough away that
They are questioning if they want to go.
that I wouldn't tell them that I was going to be there. Like I'd have to be in I've got a bunch of friends in like Columbus and Toledo and places like that in Cleveland. Oh God, if I did a special, I would actually love. Have you been to the North Shore Theater here in Duluth? It's a really old theater that they re-renovated and they do a bunch of plays and stuff in. It's got, I think, 2,000 to 3,000 seats in it.
Oh wow, I have not been there.
I haven't been in, but I've been by the buildings. The remodel turned out fantastic, and they do a lot of shows. I think actually Lewis Black is playing there sometime this spring. I can't remember exactly when the show is, but yeah, it's a big enough venue to pull a show like that.
Wow.
It's not like the deck size.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to do a special at the deck because I wouldn't want to give off the venue that I endorse, like hockey, in any way, because I don't know what sports are. And I've got a brand to sell, and it's being a nerd with closeted tendencies. I was at a show once, and I did my set, and a woman walked up to the show and literally said to me, she's like, when I read your name was Chad, I was worried you were going to be some pretentious jock, and it turns out you have a brain in your skull. I'm like, it is a curse having this name, because people look at you and go, dude, bro, what's up? And I'm like, I'm working on a thesis paper about value theory. Go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do have a bro name.
I do. It's a real, and also I wear hoodies and basically skull caps everywhere. So you look at me from this and this is a bearded jackass whose name is Chad. That's a fucking bro. And then I talk about utilitarianism and modern politics and just go, I don't know how to talk to you.
Yeah.
You should be saying football words.
You're like, bananas are berries.
Yeah, they are. Strawberries aren't though.
Yep.
Neither are blueberries or cranberries. Oh, no, blueberries aren't. Raspberries aren't. I'm sorry. I get those backwards all the time.
All right.
There's the one thing I hate about collecting stupid knowledge is that when it gets jumbled up in your head and you get something wrong, well, now I do sound like an idiot. I actually know this. I promise. I read it.
All right. What do you normally wear on stage? Would you like to change? And if so, what would you like to wear?
I have tried a few different things. I'll normally wear jeans and a button-down shirt, and then whatever shoes I happen to be in the mood for, and then of course a beanie hat because I've got psoriasis and a receding hairline. You don't people see that it's not a good look, and baseball hats make my ears look stupid. So you go with the hats you're dealt, and that's these. And it's this is getting personal, but I feel like I'm a heavyset guy and I'm really sensitive about it. So when I wear button-down shirts, I can't turn sideways because you see me in profile and I've got a gut that sticks out. So I'll normally wear a hoodie or something, or I do a decent sometimes I've done a t-shirt with a blazer over it. But I mostly do that when I'm trying to host a game show style thing or something like that, and I want to come off as ironically wearing the outfit I wore when I gave my master's defense, which is usually really nice pants, a blazer, and then a Rush concert t-shirt because I was going for some kind of business casual kind of thing back in the day. And that's a look that I really like that I don't pull off as often as I do anymore, mostly because I've got one nice blazer left and I'm holding this thing around everywhere. Especially if I'm doing a show and then I have to jet right away, or if I'm doing a show and I'm going to do something else after that, and I'm carrying bunches of changes of clothes around. Yeah. It's just kind of a hassle.
Oh yeah, I've done that for sure.
I'll tell you the worst thing I've ever somebody wear on stage, seen that. We had a guy at an open mic, this was years ago, and he showed up once in dress pants, a dress jacket with no shirt underneath, but he had the whole jacket buttoned, so it looked you're going for a look and it's weird, but it's working. So.
Okay.
So, and he was a weird dude, right? So we gave him 3 minutes, and he spends the first 2 minutes going, do you guys want to see a joke? Just over and over and over again. And nobody's laughing at it because it's not funny. And then he just pulls his pants down and he's wearing like a pink fucking banana hammock on, and that's it. So of course we pull him off the fucking stage, right? Because you're a hair's breadth away from a sex crime getting us kicked out of this club.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just the most like surreal thing I'd ever seen. And then I was outside with some of the comics having a cigarette the next week, and he walks up to me because I was the host, I was the resident kind of host for the open mic at the time, and he asks how much time he's going to get this week. None.
Yeah.
I'm not letting you in. He's like, why not? I'm like, do you remember when you committed a sex crime last week? You're not. You're done. You're out.
Yeah.
He's like, well, Martin Lawrence did it. Like, one, in the 80s, and two, you're not Martin Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and plus, why are you using other people's material then?
Well, yeah. You told a less funny version of that.
Yeah.
That people knew they were going to see.
Yeah.
You didn't practically whip your dick out in a banana hammock randomly in front of people.
At an open mic.
Yeah. Well, and it was like terrifying at times. Like, this is the type of thing, like, they could decide to shut the show down if people complained about it. And it was like a venue where, like, the venue had asked us to have comics not tell jokes before or to not have certain comics perform because they received too many complaints about it. Yeah. So it was like, is this the type of thing that gets us all kicked? And luckily it didn't. Luckily he never came back. But you don't. That's a terrifying experience to have to deal with. Yeah. Plus, then you're going to pull somebody off the stage and his pants are around his ankles, and like you got to watch where your hands are at. Yeah. Did you accidentally touch it? Oh God, no! Conveniently, two people beat him to the stage, and I was like opening doors to get them out. So like, I luckily did not have to touch that fucking weirdo. But. Nice.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, now I got to change my freaking outfit choice when I go up.
Just go for a different color. That's different.
Right. Yeah. Just don't do the blazer. Just be shirtless the whole time. You got Bert Kreischer in there, and you got the banana hammock. You're good.
There we go. Boom.
God, who would buy that calendar?
Look at Vandy. He's raising his hand. All right, Chad. If you could open for any comedian, who would it be?
Oh. See, because that's a double-edged sword, right? Because your first instinct is to say, like, one of your favorite comedians. Yeah. And then you realize that they are way funnier than you are. And you're just going to feel, like, insignificant in comparison. So, like, you got to pick somebody that you like just enough. Yeah. But is not only not, like, obviously they're going to be way funnier than you, but, like, in a different kind of way. So, like, as much as I love Lewis Black, I would never want to open for him. It's like, I'm just going to be the less funny, angry guy. So it would have to be, God, if I could have opened for Mitch Hedberg, that would have been crazy, right?
Amazing.
I have a Mitch Hedberg story. So a buddy of mine saw him when Mitch was like early on in his career, and he goes on to do the set. He's coming out from the curtains from backstage, and he gets like tangled up in the curtains. But they had already given him a live mic, so he had a mic stuck in his curtains. So Mitch just goes, "Oh man, it's so warm back here. I think I'll just do the show from right here." So he does like the first 10 minutes of his set stuck in the curtains, while fucking like PAs and stagehands like trying to open them, trying to get him out. I think it's on stage like, "Oh, I was so comfortable." Anyway, let's do the rest of the show. The show like nothing happened.
It used to be Mitch Hedberg, Lewis Black, and Dave Attell, right? They used to all tour together, right?
I think they did. And again, what's nice about that is it's three different kinds of
totally different.
Oh God, yeah.
That would be a great show. Could you imagine going to like a $10 show and seeing those three?
Oh man. If it was only 10, I don't think that would ever be a thing.
Well, but that was $10 in '90s money, so that's $8,000 now. That's
if you did the math correctly. I think so.
It's funnier when you don't.
What is the math? You know,
I don't know actual inflation rates. That's why I make up big fake numbers. My degrees were in philosophy, not economics.
I figured you'd be anybody.
Anyone you've had on the show, probably I would know. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but I can tell you in 2017, a Cessna airplane cost $75,000. And the average cost of raising a child was $227,310.
Oh.
Just to get them to 17, like they're not out of your house yet.
Yeah.
So I always used to tell people, like, you could have one kid, or hear me out, 3 airplanes. And I'm buying the airplanes.
I just need one. Just give me one airplane.
I still think that number's a little low.
Well, it's a Cessna C-75, so it's a small.
I'm talking about the kid.
passenger.
I'm talking about the kid.
It was accurate as of a time study in 2017. It's definitely more now. That's a 5-year-old number.
Yeah.
So it's got to be like $4 billion or something.
Well, plus the kid is 5 years older now, so I mean it's going to be.
Well, price inflation.
You're trying too hard. It's not working.
Yeah, price inflation 5 years later. Gas back in 2017 is way different than gas now.
Right. But that's just to raise the kid to 17. Like they're still living with you for, it was 2017, so for another 8 years probably statistically. That you haven't set aside anything for a college loan or anything like that. That is the average minimum just to raise them.
Yeah.
And then people go and have like 6 kids, and again, are allowed to vote on economic policy and don't put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. Man.
You should not get to make financial decisions when you're bad with money.
Well, I feel bad. I don't have a kid or an airplane.
And we're still broke. That's the worst part, is that, man, I don't have any of it.
I don't have either. I could have 3 airplanes, and I have 0 airplanes.
I have a bid on this.
Oh, you can't just bury the lead like that. You gotta go.
Oh, no. I'm saving this for the stage. I'm still working it out. So.
Look at Vandy being a professional.
Hey, man.
You want to hear my jokes, you gotta come see me.
That's right. That's right.
I mean,
I have been doing it the wrong way, it turns out, and just blabbing everything into this microphone.
and it's the opposite of what he always tells me. He's like, yeah, dude, you should do some of your jokes in a podcast. I'm like, no, I'm saving it for the stage.
Well, no, you always have the co-host.
No,
do
I
the
never
jokes
tell
so
him
you
to
can actually
do it in the
host show.
podcast. I tell him share the videos that he's done on stage, and he never does.
Well, it's the same concept.
No, not even.
I don't want to, that's even worse because then it's like that particular video. Like, if people see that joke, then it's just ruined, and then I can't use that joke anymore.
No, it's not ruined. I don't know how you get it's ruined.
Well, you got to give people a little taste.
Because
right?
Roddy, your following on social media is 20 people. So, I mean, there's still thousands of
I don't even think I have 20.
And we're 2 of them.
Yeah.
So, I think we're to that time of the night.
What time of the night is that?
Dedication time, baby.
Dedication time.
Oh, yeah.
So every episode we decide to dedicate to a comedian. Whenever we have a guest on, we like to have that guest dedicate to their favorite comedian, or not necessarily their favorite comedian, but just dedicate it to a comedian that they believe earns the dedication. So, Chad, who would you like to dedicate this episode to?
Well, first of all, I'm glad that you said that I had to dedicate it to a comedian, because if I had to dedicate it to somebody I liked, that would be nobody. I don't care. Get over that. Comedian-wise, I don't want to come off as pretentious, but I probably Louis Black, because he is by far one of my favorite comedians. Between all the stuff I saw him do stand-up wise, like I said, I had albums memories of his. I loved his bits on The Daily Show when he was with Jon Stewart. That was fantastic. And he's always been one of those incredibly witty people talking about current events, but also constantly funny about it.
Guy could have been a great lawyer.
Yeah, but if he was a lawyer, we would have lost the living legend.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He should be a lawyer and a comedian.
No, because he would probably do what I would do and would be start telling jokes about clients, and that gets you disbarred quickly on the show. But they'd be so ridiculous, you'd have to talk about
Yeah. You'd be like, okay, I need this in my bit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. How much information do you need to change in order to make it a bit, though?
Probably just a name.
Yeah.
And make sure that it wasn't a high-profile case.
I love Louis.
I used to tell a bit, and I don't do it very more because it's been so long ago, but Duluth and Superior have very weird sex criminals. And there was a guy in Superior who got arrested because he was having sex with a dead deer carcass on the side of the road and got caught.
Holy shit.
And like the funny thing to me about that was the only thing he got, like the only crime he was charged with was indecent exposure, because it wasn't the actual thing of a deer corpse is not illegal in Wisconsin, and that is absurd to me.
Yeah.
But I was doing this as an open mic in Superior once, and I don't use the guy's real name because the guy yelled out, "Oh, you mean Bill?" Obviously, his name's not actually Bill, but the guy said the guy's real name. I'm like, why would you yell that? Why would you admit that you know this guy, first of all? And second of all, tell me more about him. I'm really fascinated.
Now get on stage and help me out.
Oh, no. You never bring him
No,
up.
I would never.
After the show, you go, tell me everything there is to know about Bill.
Yeah.
This will be my album. Turns out there was nothing else missing there because that guy was a lunatic. But because he admitted to knowing the guy who fucked a deer in public.
Yeah.
Like, I would feel like if that were information that I had,
I wouldn't share with anybody.
No.
I'm really glad that you didn't say my name. Just kidding.
It's all about, client confidentiality.
Oh, yeah. As long as people don't know that it was me.
Yeah.
Then we're fine.
All right, Chad, do you want to plug anything, or where can people find you, or?
Oh, God, you can find me all over the Twin Forts up here. Admittedly, I've got to work on the social media thing because you youngins and your computers are a mystery to a man in his early 30s. Oh, God. I've got a show coming up in February. I believe it's February 13th, thereabouts. Doing a show with Sam Schwartz and a bunch of folks at the Caddyshack. I plugged the show that Justin and I are doing, but by the time you guys hear this, we'll have already done a great and or terrible job.
Yep. Or mediocre.
So if you have access to a time machine, go back to January 14th and go to that show, because that'll be great.
Yeah. And a great use of a time machine.
Do you have a website or anything, or?
I don't. I used to, and it turns out domain names expire.
Dang.
When you forget things like to pay the people that manage it. Yeah. Okay. So thank God for them internets.
All right. Well, if you have any shows or anything and you want to share them or whatever, just send them to me, Chad, and I'll post them up for you.
Oh, for sure. I'll let you know.
So, all right. I think it was a great episode.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun getting to know you, and
yeah, Chad, it was great getting to know you, man.
Yeah, this was a really good conversation.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
I don't know which of you to thank, because I don't know who the host is.
We're both the hosts.
That'd be me.
We're both the hosts. He's just as equal of a host as me.
Should I split the difference and just thank me for being here?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. There you go.
Thank you, Chad, for being here. We should do that at
first. Right. Yeah. Thank you for doing
job
this.
For you. That's fine. It's a point of contention.
Yeah, we just decided that Chad is now the new host, and
all right, we'll tune in next week, guys.
He's already one up on us. He's doing a weekly podcast.
Yeah, he's got it.
I don't know how podcasts work.
Yeah. Well, some people do weekly. We do every other week.
Yeah, we do a bi-weekly podcast.
That's probably the saner way to do it.
It's just too much.
Well, I mean,
work.
plus we just reached almost. Well, I think we're at about 3 hours now.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel over.
Well, I told you I love to hear myself talk. Yeah.
So.
But
Roddy, where can they reach us?
Otherwise, you guys can reach us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. You can reach us at YouTube. You can go just about anywhere on social media. You can listen to us on Spotify and all those areas where you can listen to podcasts, where you're listening to this now. You can always reach us at www.thestupidestpodcast.com. And if you ever have any questions or you have a theme that you would like to hear Vandy and I talk about, if you have a guest that you might want to have on, anything like that, you can always send us an email. Just go to thestupidestpodcast@gmail.com.
You stole my
line. You have a website that uses Gmail?
Yeah.
God, I'm in my 30s and I know that's tacky.
That happens.
We're tacky.
It's almost really stupid.
It is. It almost is with the brand.
Yeah. I'm trying here. It's not working.
Yeah,
that's the best part about it. We can do whatever we want, and if it's stupid, that's because we did it that way.
On brand, yeah.
Yeah, guys, go like and rate and comment on the podcast wherever you guys are listening. It helps a lot. Like our post, share our posts. It helps the reach big time. So
Yep. Otherwise, by the time you guys hear this, we'll also have some wristbands. We'll have stickers. So if you guys want to donate towards the podcast, you can give us some donations. Again, you'd have to find a way to reach Vandy or Roddy personally, because we don't have anywhere to donate right now virtually, or at least a way to virtually get you those wristbands. Because yeah, it's going to be a lot to send those to people that want them. So if you see us, you can donate to us. We'll give you those wristbands. Stickers are going to be, I think, free. I got a lot of stickers. So
nice. All right, guys. Well, have a good one.
have a good one.